This is critical. We're talking about
Yeah.
Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. I'm Mongo. He's Liger Busa. Continue.
Oh, they used to do the skit called Roger the Stanley Experience. Anytime they would have Marvel games, they used to talk about like having sex with Jack Kirby's wife and stuff. It's like I didn't know
Uh,
like all the talk about Stanley and him taking credit for all sorts of stuff like beforehand. So it was always interesting listening, watching those skits.
so I don't have the release information pulled up in front of me. I do know this game came out in 1996. It is by
Yeah,
Capcom. Uh, if you've played X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, this is a game in the same vein, except now you're playing through kind of a mismatch of the Infinity stories from the early 90s. Like the story itself is very much like Infinity Gauntlet, but there's aspects of like I think it's the Infinity Crusade. Instead of 5 X-Men, you get 1 X-Men, you get Wolverine, you also get Captain America, Spider-Man, the Hulk, and Iron Man. And basically you are playing through the it's not even really so much the Infinity Gauntlet because in that comic Thanos has the gems already. But you're collecting them as you go through the game. It's side-scrolling beat 'em up, so like you would think, sort of in the same vein as like Final Fight. Not really. You have special attacks, but you have to do a wacky ass Street Fighter command for all of them. Which I'll tell you right now, Mutant Apocalypse, there are action replay codes where you get the one button mutant power from the training mode, which makes that game a lot easier. You don't get all of your mutant powers because some of them are not bound to that Y button deal in training mode. This game has no such fucking gimmick. You either learn those Street Fighter controls or you are just jumping and punching. And especially when you get the ability to do like the gem super attacks, which those are like a half circle motion, which I couldn't do them as a kid on the Super NES D-pad. I can do them now on like every other D-pad imaginable. But I can see why people would think this game is difficult. I thought it was really hard when I was little because I couldn't do a lot of the special attacks. Um, it's a fun game. Like the generic bad guys are mostly just like evil clones of Marvel characters like Hawkeye. You'll encounter Iron Man. There's actually like a boss fight against 2 evil Iron Men. They have like a two-phase health meter. There's Puck, proving that all short people from Canada are evil.
I mean it's true.
One of the boss fights is against like an evil Daredevil clone.
Who doesn't look like
You fight.
Daredevil?
No, yeah, it's very strange.
He's like a demon thing. I was really confused by that actually.
Yeah, like I forgot he was in there for one because it had been probably 10 years since I'd played this, and some of these levels are really interesting. Like for some reason, you have the Boston Aquarium. I mean, it's a '90s beat 'em up, so like there's got to be a fucking water level. It feels like,
Yeah,
or a level with like a gimmick where the stage changes because it's a regular building and then there's like a little cutscene and then oh fuck, it's underwater.
I I really hate missions where you're underwater and you get like the air meter that if it depletes then you die. I just hate that in every game. Like no matter what it is, it always pisses me off. So that was in here and I was like, oh fuck, here we go. And of course it's a beat 'em up,
Yeah,
so you having to fight enemies at the same time and knock down like uh part of the set
like
and stuff
walls
like
that.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So that was kind of frustrating. To me, the frustrating part in the game wasn't really the enemies themselves because they were pretty easy. That sometimes it was like the number of enemies, but also like the stage design too. Which I can talk about a little bit further. If you want to talk more about the boss of the level or whatever it is, the aquarium.
uh, I so that was the first level I played when I was a kid because it kind of feels like the way the map is set up that it's the first level the game wants you to play.
Yeah, same.
And I remember I hated that level when I was a kid. And some things don't change. One thing I'll say about the enemies in this game, and this is true of Mutant Apocalypse as well, if you get them on each side of you and they start hitting you, you don't have that fucking thing where like you get invincible frames the first time you're hit. You get iframes when you've been knocked down.
Yeah.
And in this game and Mutant Apocalypse, it is not uncommon to get surrounded by enemies and have like 45-50% of your health meter just fucking eaten before you get a
Yeah.
chance to like drop down and come back up with iframes and get like some fucking offense. To steal a phrase from the angry video game nerd, that's a real shit bitch.
Yeah, so some of the easiest I thought like some of the easiest enemies in the game were the boss battles because they would get stuck. Like there's a boss battle against an evil Wolverine and you're on a platform and there's spikes underneath, which doesn't hurt him. And he fell off the platform and into the spikes, and he would keep trying to jump up back onto the platform with like an uppercut. And I was playing the Hulk, and I was far enough back where he couldn't hit me, but I was able to extend my arm and punch him. So every time he would just try to do this uppercut, I would just punch him all the time. It was a similar situation with the Sasquatch where he kept like jumping in the same area. It was just like attack, and then he'd fall and he'd jump again and attack. So they made it easier for me. Easier for me in those situations for sure.
The bosses are all pretty like Thanos at the end is not
He just
like
blocked a lot.
I've yeah, like I've beaten this game like 2 or 3 times. I've never died against Thanos. I've
Mm.
beaten Mutant Apocalypse probably like 9 or 10 times in my life, and I think I've died more times against Magneto alone than I have in like War of the Gems in general.
Let me ask you
Like
this because you know more about these stories than I do because I've never read this. Is like were they not able to have Wendigo as like that? Is that supposed to be like Sasquatch? Did they like take it out?
Sasquatch is Tanarak from or he's called Tanarak, but he's from Alpha Flight.
Oh, okay.
Um
I didn't realize
so he's
that.
not yeah, he's I mean they look fucking one's tan, the other one's white.
Yeah,
They look basically exactly the same depending on who's drawing them. So like yeah, no. Before I really dug into like the Alpha Flight stuff, because I think they only appear in like 2 episodes of X-Men Task, I thought it was Wendigo under a different name too for like the longest time, and then I was like, oh no, it's Sasquatch. That's the guy from
yeah.
HeroClix. I remember him.
And the thing is in the game in a later level. And I think isn't he just like basically the same as Sasquatch?
Yeah, yeah, the boss fight's pretty similar. Yeah,
Yeah,
I I like some of the level designs a lot, like the space level. The ice level can fucking get bent. I hate that level.
I just
Um,
like there's a level where Doctor Strange randomly shows up and creates a platform for you to glide on so you can attack Silver
yeah,
Surfer.
that shit rules. Yeah, there's a lot of fun gimmicks in this game, but like I'll say this: there's not as many levels in this game that are as memorable to me as the ones in like. And maybe this is just because I had Mutant Apocalypse as a kid and I didn't have this one. Did I say Apocalypse? Jesus Christ, Apocalypse.
Hmm.
Like, there's few levels in this game I remember like not even the character specific ones from Mutant Apocalypse, but like the level with like all the brood fucking bugs flying around where you have to fight the brood queen at the end. There's not a single level in this game other than the aquarium and the space one that I like. The second I see it, I'm like, oh, it's this one.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor Strange hover platform fucking gimmick. I always forget that's in the game until it happens, and then I get fired up because I remember that it's in that game. And by virtue of it being a 16-bit Capcom game, you get beautiful sprite work, very well animated, everything's super vibrant and crisp, great animations. I my one thing is by the time this game came out, we had already gotten X-Men 2 Clone Wars on the Genesis. And I'm about to drop the hottest take I've dropped on this podcast in a minute. I think that game is better because it's one button for you. You have one mutant power, it's one button.
Mm.
It like Clone Wars has the problem, if you want to look at it as a problem, of a lot of Genesis games where the levels are just fucking gigantic labyrinths and it's not like just a straight walk right and win kind of thing. But it is so much easier to play when it's just I play as Wolverine and I run forward and I keep pressing A and everybody dies. Not I
With
have to walk forward and do a Shoryuken motion to fucking clear these guys out.
Yeah, it's funny because Iron Man has like that Shoryuken too at the end of his combo. Um,
Yeah,
I didn't remember this game. Like I'm sure I've heard about it and seen it before, but I just couldn't remember it. So when you originally brought it up, I thought it was going to be like a port of the arcade game. So when I had it on my Steam Deck and saw it was like a platform or a beat 'em up, I was like, "Huh, okay, that's interesting." So yeah, I thought it was okay overall. Like I said, like some of the levels annoyed me. Some of the enemies annoyed me, not because they were hard themselves, but when they really gang up on you, that was frustrating. I did like the little
Yeah,
details, like both Spider-Man and Wolverine kind of hang on to the walls, which
yeah,
I just wasn't expecting for something that was made around that time on the Super Nintendo. So I thought that was cool.
yeah.
Um,
Wolverine has that in Mutant Apocalypse as well.
yeah, I do wish there was more variety of the enemies, but I get it. You know, the palette swaps. It was just funny because like here's Pink Wolverine and he's evil. Oh, okay. Um, who was Blackheart?
Oh, that's Mephisto's son.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen that character before. I think maybe he was in like one
He's
of
in
the
MVC
Marvel.
too.
Yeah, and for some reason I thought he was like a Capcom character. Like when I first saw him, because I had never heard of him before.
Yeah, he's an interesting one because he's a character. It feels like a lot of people only know him because of the like Marvel versus games
Right.
at this
Yeah.
point. Well, actually, that's not true. No, wait, that's Mephisto, not Blackheart. Never mind. I was going to mention Spider-Man one more day, but that's Mephisto, not Blackheart. Um, but yeah, he feels like a character people really just know because of those games, and that's kind of the same thing with like Shuma Gorath. I know a lot of people that they know Cable's a Marvel character, but they don't know anything about him other than Hyper Viper Beam.
Mm,
I so I just looked it up, November '96, which might be why you don't remember it. It's a very late Super NES game. Very expensive on eBay now. If you try to buy a complete in box copy of this game, you might want to block off like a paycheck or half a paycheck.
oof.
Yeah.
What's it going for?
I think I saw one like one that was in decent condition, complete in box. It was around $300.
Good grief.
Yeah, we didn't get a PlayStation until 1997. So when this game came out, there were two of us in the house, me and my older cousin Fuckhead, that were really into Marvel superheroes. So we rented this game. I think we actually rented this, and I think DKC3 might have come out like around the same time, and we rented them both together. And DKC was like all of the kids liked that game, and then we played DKC3, and we were like, "Where the fuck's Donkey? Where the fuck's Diddy? Why do
Yeah.
we have this dumbass little baby?" And then we put like War of the Gems in, and like great soundtrack, great art. I really wanted to play this because obviously Cosmic Invasion just got announced, and everybody's like, spiritual successor to X-Men the arcade game, and I'm like, it's a cosmic game, spiritual successor to War of the Gems, baby. Let's go. Um, it's not perfect. Like I think X-Men 2 Clone Wars is better. Like if you're talking like the best 16-bit Marvel game, it's that. But this is a game I don't hear nearly as much discussion of now, and it's a shame because it's a pretty fun game. It's just very frustrating if you can't pull off Street Fighter move combos, which I can. That's not the issue. It's just trying to do those while you're getting fucking Eiffel Towered by fucking evil Puck clones is
Yeah.
not easy. It's not fun. Spider Man's a
No,
blast to play as in this game though, because he has more combo hits than any other character.
I think my favorite character to play as is Captain America. Just because I never get tired of like tossing the shield at people, and
Yeah,
I hate um characters with like bow and arrows in games. So like Hawkeye was like my least favorite character in this game. But to play as Captain America and just throw the goddamn shield at him was so satisfying. It also made me want to go back and play the Super Soldier game on 360. So I remember liking that game a lot. I think it was like the combat was outside of like the shield stuff was just like an Arkham style game, if I remember correctly.
yeah. I've heard that was basically just like an Arkham clone, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see that being good for Captain America.
Yeah, I never finished it, but I remember like I had it and it was just like um very underrated, I felt at the time.
Remember the era of mid-budget superhero movie tie-in games?
Yeah, that was just like a great time. It's funny because you look at like all those games then and you think like the market was oversaturated and like a lot of those games weren't the greatest. Now I kind of want them all back because like there's just nothing now, you know?
Yeah, I would take the market being flooded with mid-budget, like 6.57 out of 10, like comic book games, rather than waiting 5 years for Insomniac to adapt whatever fucking Spider-Man movie they think they still have like the bandwidth to adapt. I don't know if I said it on the podcast recently, but I was talking with my friend Kara about like the Wolverine game and how like we can't just adapt comic stories directly. Like the
Hmm.
Batman games don't adapt anything really directly like the Arkham games, but they're still faithful to like all of the characters and shit and their motivations. Like
Right.
if you're a comic reader, you're not going to play Arkham and feel insulted, but if you're a comic reader and you play Spider-Man 2, you don't really get a lot out of that because Venom, they don't do anything that resembles any of the good Venom stories, and they piss all over the one Craven story anybody would want to fucking have. And I had the revelation, like everybody talked about how comic accurate a lot of stuff in Spider-Man 2018 was. The one thing everybody talked about at the time was like, oh, it's a love letter to Spider-Man 2. And I was like, yeah, both the game, because Shocker's in the game, Rhino's in the game. Uh,
Hmm.
you could tie it to the first Spider-Man movie tie-in because fucking Vulture's right there. Like they cared more about like fucking paying homage to those like Sam Raimi movies, and even like there's aspects of fucking Spider-Man 2 that are from like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Like Harry has the fucking Zabumafu disease. This is not. That's like almost uniquely Amazing Spider-Man 2. What the fuck?
You can definitely feel like the obvious movie influences in those games, and it's funny because I saw recently someone was making a mod for two that replaces all the characters with models based on the Raimi movies.
I
So
mean,
you
might
got
as
like,
well.
yeah, it was kind of interesting, kind of neat to see somebody do that. But yeah, it's very much in the same vein as those movies. It just feels very similar. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I do miss like the mid-budget movie games. Like there was some underrated gems, like I said before, like Captain America, but also that Batman Begins game was kind of neat, and it was doing like the whole fear system before Arkham, where you'd scare the enemies and they would drop all their guns, and then that was the time to strike and stuff like that was cool. Yeah, it's just a different time. Of
yeah.
course, we will never get those again because now you've got to put millions and millions of dollars into everything. And
The
yeah,
gaming industry is cooked. Yeah. So
yep,
since we're, I would give a recommendation to War of the Gems, especially if you love '90s Marvel and you love those. If you love the Marvel versus Capcom character designs, especially like this is what it is. Um, Great music too, like amazing
yeah,
soundtrack. Video game news though, we got to talk about the Switch too.
yes. Expensive.
449 before the tariffs got announced, and I fear it's going to be more. Um,
I saw somebody say that it was that price anyway because of the tariffs, and then Nintendo's like, wait a minute, it might it we now that the tariffs are a thing, now we have to take a look at it again. And I was like, oh god. So yeah, it's gonna be. I think it comes close to like 650 Canadian, 700, something like that. Um,
ugh.
I was interested before that price was announced.
I if it stays 449, I'm interested in a couple of years when there's more games. But also the game prices, like we knew Nintendo, like they tested it with Breath of the Wild, right? 70
Yeah.
bucks. The problem is they're now charging $80 for fucking Mario Kart. And instead of being like, well, increased budget, we packed as much into this game as we could, whatever bullshit excuse you want to use, they're saying, well, it's up to the retailers to set the price. No, you're the one that suggests the fucking price.
Hmm.
We're
Yep.
not stupid.
Yeah,
And
and
I was kind of like, damn, okay, they're doing the Switch 2 versions of like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I'll grab the physical ones because I'll have the next gen version physically. The fucking next gen version's still a goddamn download. You're just getting a Switch 1 cart. So you're paying for the digital upgrade key, which, by the way, if you've got Nintendo Switch Online expansion, you already get the Breath of the Wild upgrade for free.
it's so stupid.
And can I just say, like, I saw the side by side of Breath of the Wild on Switch 2 versus Switch 1. Jesus Christ, it looks like a different game.
Hmm.
HDR and like enhanced resolutions, they do a lot of work. Like Breath of the Wild looked really good and stylized, and that's great. You see that shit running on the Switch too, and it's like, god damn.
I think what disappointed me about the press conference too, or whatever you want to call it, the direct. It seemed like I can't even remember what they were, but there was other titles announced of games that have already been released. I think no, I can't remember what they were now, but there was other stuff that was announced that's already been out on
Like
PS5
Elden
or
Ring, Street Fighter 6.
yeah, and like Cyberpunk and all that, and it just felt like here we go again. You know, it's like the Nintendo console comes out, all the old stuff has to come out on it first. Like it's like here's Batman Armored Edition again. You know what I mean? It's just like, can we not just start with a bunch of full brand new stuff? And it didn't feel like that. I mean, obviously there was a few new titles, like as we just talked about, like Mario Kart and stuff like that. But again, it just felt like too much old stuff, and I always hate that, and it always seems to happen with Nintendo. And it's yeah, it's just very annoying to me.
It's cheaper to and easier to backport your stuff, though. I get
Yeah,
it. Like
I get it, but it's just like God, it's like here's your direct, your new console, and I have to see this old shit again. It's just annoying.
they
Um,
did announce WWE 2K, which I knew.
yeah, they didn't say
Like
2K25, which suggests that they might wait
it's
until
not going to be till
26.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was saying it going into 2K25's launch, like the Switch 2 is basically like somewhat like a slightly beefier PS4 Pro, I think.
Hmm.
They're still doing last gen versions of 2K. So until they stop those, like I could, especially if Switch 2 comes out and somehow doesn't, I'm not expecting it to bomb, but the economic realities of our time are going to ensure that it doesn't have the super successful launch that a lot of people were predicting. Like I saw a thing from an analyst like a month ago saying that it was on track to be the most successful hardware launch ever. And like I don't see that now.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing that as well.
Um I did think Incredible fucking Kong Ultimate Dongstruction or whatever the fuck I called it on Blue Sky. That game looked awesome. I
Yeah, it's
when
neat.
I saw it was 3D Donkey Kong, I was like, ugh. And then I saw the gameplay and I was like, oh, fully destructible environments. You're playing as a big goddamn monster character. You're just running around fucking shit up. I saw this before Nintendo. You're not fooling me.
Yeah, it's
That's
ultimate
Hulk.
destruction. Yep.
Yeah. Um, that looked really cool. Mario Kart obviously looks great. It's Mario Kart. I've never played a bad one,
Hmm.
but my enthusiasm went from like, oh yeah, buddy, fucking maybe not day one, but pretty soon after launch to like, I gotta save up to buy a Nintendo system now. That's how cooked we are. But to the point about the prices, there was a report not super long ago that Rockstar was looking at launching GTA 6 at $100
Oh yeah,
for the base
totally.
game.
That
And
doesn't surprise me at all.
like we're really hitting the Super NES era of you can charge whatever the fuck you want now because I was barely alive when it happened, but I've heard all of the fucking shit about the outrage at Street Fighter 2 being $85 US when it came out.
Hmm.
I remember paying it was like $70 at Kmart for Killer. Well, my mom paid it, not me, for Killer Instinct, and that was more than the average Super NES game at the time. Like in some ways, like oh, it's nostalgic because there's no longer a set retail price, but also it's like we're about to hit like a global depression, the likes of which we have not seen in like 100 fucking years. I get profits are like the most important thing to these companies, but you make no money if people have no money. If you charge too much money, the people that have no money are not going to spend that money because they don't have it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And GTA, I don't even want to think. See, I have to think of the conversion in my mind anytime we talk prices. And like, for example, I think like the Undertaker edition of WWE 2K was like a 120 or something like that. I think it was like
Ugh.
100 US, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So like the I think like the Bloodline edition was like 160 or some shit. So
fuck
like
that.
we're gonna get to a point where video games are gonna be like $200 Canadian for like special editions, which is fucking nuts. And it's probably just gonna get worse and worse, to be honest.
Well, everything's going to crash eventually, and then we're going to see what
It
happens.
happened now.
Well, did we talk about it last week? The whole thing about like there's like there's like great concern if GTA 6 gets delayed because there are companies waiting to launch until after. So if that game gets delayed to like April, all of the companies that had plans for like a spring 2026 launch are like they're going to be fucked. And like it was basically said like some of these like companies are just going to die if that happens. Like one game potentially dictates the future of the entire industry. How the fuck did we get here? And
Yeah.
then here's my question. We know the rumors that GTA 6 is the first game to have $1 billion budget, which, if
Hmm.
that's true, God fucking damn. Does that does that game make the money back? I mean, it probably does because it's going to sell several million units and they're going to milk people online for years. But like, what if? What if they say that game has like a $1.25 billion budget and it doesn't make it back immediately? Then what?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too with how reactionary companies are these days. Where, I mean, yeah, like a game has to make profit instantly. If it doesn't, then it's like, oh shit, it's a failure basically. It just seems like everything's a failure no matter what. So it will be interesting to see. In the case of GTA, they're gonna probably keep that same. They're gonna probably gonna keep GTA 6 going forever, right? Just like they did GTA 5, which I can't say I'm a fan of. Like, I'd rather have a new GTA, even if it's just like something that's using the same engine, but it's a new game, sort of like a Vice City or a San San Andreas is a good example, but like Vice City Stories or Liberty City Stories, just like something that feels like an expansion. But like, I just see them writing GTA 6 out for years and years, like they did 5 until they want to do 7, unfortunately. So,
I I
so
was just
it,
gonna say, speaking of San Andreas,
yeah,
like we've talked about it, I think on the show. I know I talked about it on Twitter before I axed my account on the 20th anniversary last year. But San Andreas was a cultural event, the likes of which I don't think I've ever seen again in terms of a video game launch.
right.
That game was so goddamn popular that like girls in seventh grade that swore up and down they didn't fucking play video games and their family only had a PS2 because it was a DVD player. They were talking about it. And I don't think you're going to have that like out of the shadows moment for a lot of people now because people are just willing to be upfront about playing video games. I'm sure it's going to make a bunch of money and a lot of people are going to buy it and a lot of people are going to play it. I just don't. Are we able to have a like video game launch that feels as big as San Andreas did in 2004?
I I think it's different too because obviously there's the nostalgia factor and just the way. I mean, things were quite different back then, right? Like, we didn't have social media, we had forums and shit, and we watched regular TV with commercials for San Andreas. That made it feel special, made it feel like different. Excuse me, because you didn't always get commercials for video games on regular TV, and you get like GT commercials during like every commercial break during wrestling and shit. So I think nostalgia plays a factor in it. Just the way the world is so different now. It's like it's sort of hard for me to compare. Um,
Social media is a good point too, but also social media makes everything feel artificial.
you're right. Yeah, it's
Like,
social media is shit.
yeah, but like I just the way I see some stuff get hyped up super quickly. I remember a fucking thing like when my mom had her knee replaced, the first one in '03. I remember sitting and watching some news report with my dad in the living room, and it was talking about there were people that were paid to go into like AOL like AIM like group chats and shit and hype stuff up and like basically do like subliminal like guerrilla subliminal advertising for stuff.
Hmm.
And the example used was Cowboy Bebop, which is the only reason I know what Cowboy Bebop is. I'm never going to interact with that particular IP because of this. But like it was just this like little nerdy guy, like that's the greatest thing in the world. It's Cowboy Bebop, and they're like, "What makes it so great?" And he just goes, "It's Cowboy Bebop" or some shit like that. And
The
that kind
most
of
wrestling games
that,
that aren't out yet.
yeah, a few of them, yeah. And that's kind of how I feel anytime I see stuff getting really hyped on social media now is like there's so much irony and disingenuous like behavior and
Oh boy.
Instant social media. What did I do?
I well, when you're talking about like insincerity and straight up bullshit, like the Superman preview that came out this week and the whole social media aspect involving that has been fucking ridiculous. Um, which we can talk a little
I'm
about it.
sure there's been a lot of bad faith takes on that. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Or we can do it now. I don't really care.
Well, so yeah, the special preview came out, which is basically just an extended trailer that they released earlier. But it has the full scene where he calls Crypto, and unlike the trailer where Crypto just grabs a cape and they go along, Crypto jumps on it and goes crazy because he thinks he wants to play. Which when I saw him jump on them, I laughed. I was like not expecting that based on the trailer that they released previously. I thought it was pretty funny. Superman's in obvious pain, which you don't usually see in movies very often. The Superman showing actual pain. Um, so then Crypto takes him to the Fortress of Solitude, which I thought looked great. It looks more like a satellite to me. So the sort of the way it extends on one side, um, and it can turn towards the sun, which is like a super cool thing. Of course, you go into the fortress and you hear Jor-El in the background speaking in Kryptonian language. The actor who played him has been leaked online. Um, then you've got the robots that are basically from All Star Superman, which I thought looked really, really, really cool. I think the CGI in those scenes too was like excellent. And they've got the numbers on the front too. And number 4 is obviously Alan Tudyk, who's like in everything DC, which was cool. So the first like argument started when Superman says thank you, which was a really cool, just a really cool thing because just hearing Superman thank a robot, it's just like that's who he is, right? And so he says thank you, and the robot says, "Oh, there's no need to thank us. We don't have a conscience, and like we're just made to serve, basically." And then he says, "Meet number 12. She's new." And Superman looks at her and sort of nods, and she giggles, and then she said, "He looked at me," which contradicts what number 4 just said. And that's the whole fucking point. And the amount of people who posted on Twitter and other places this week that look like, "Oh, that's bad writing. That doesn't make any sense." Are you that fucking stupid? Are we that far down the hole that we can't understand that that was the whole purpose of those 2 fucking lines? Like, did these people watch Terminator 2 when the Terminator says, "I need a vacation"? Are they confused that he sacrifices himself at the end instead of going on vacation? Like, how do people not know this shit? How is this
Subtlety
hard?
is lost on a lot of people. Also,
Like,
again, bad faith actors.
it's just fucking unreal. Like, I'm sure a lot of it was trolling, but I'm sure too there's literally people that don't understand because I saw posts and people in the comments be like, "Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me either." And I was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" So there was that, and then they take him and get him set for like this medical procedure, which was cool because if you look at like the like instruments that are around them, they're very like 1950s retro futuristic stuff, which I thought looked really neat. And they basically turn the fortress towards the sun, which I said before was like really cool thing to see. And they magnify the sun, and it, beams all this energy into him, and he screams. He's obviously in physical pain, and people again are like, "Oh, Superman's hurt by the sun." They said he had like 14 broken bones, and like his bladder was busted, and lungs and all this shit. Like when that stuff is being repaired, I'm sure it hurts. And again, it comes to this back to like people aren't used to seeing Superman in pain. Even when like Henry Cavill Superman is in pain for in points of those movies, like he doesn't really show it. I mean, the guy gets hit by a nuke and just his body rebuilds itself, and he just closes his eyes and then opens them again. So I think too, it's a smart move to show Superman in pain because one of the things people bring up is like, "Oh, Superman's boring and he's invincible; he can't be hurt." And now they're showing a different side where he is getting hurt. Obviously he's still super powerful, but obviously he's been damaged, and I think that's an interesting aspect of it. So then it goes basically into the trailer we've seen before with um some new scenes and stuff. Um, there's a better look at that like weird circular thing that's glowing in the background when he's talking to Lois, and there's like a green light hitting it, so it looks like Guy Gardner's maybe fighting it, and people think that big circular thing is Solaris. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I love the footage. I think it looks just excellent, and I'm ready for like this bright, bright colored Superman and crypto and all this stuff. I've said it before, but like I was a fan of the Snyder movies, and I watched a reaction a few days ago to Batman vs Superman, and I found it very hard to go back and look at that movie. It's like everything's so drab and dark, and like there's one scene, I think it's after Superman saves Lois, and I think there's like a helicopter shining a light on him or something, and you can see the suit's blue, but like in every other scene, it's so dark it almost looks like the black suit before he gets the actual black suit, and it just looks depressing. It's like, why is everything this color? It's not visually appealing anymore. And to see a Superman like out in the sun and light scenes and stuff, it feels so refreshing. But these Snyder fans are just out of their minds. Like it's unbelievable that these movies that didn't even do very well and were released years ago have such a crazed fan base. Like I just don't understand it. And I know like Star Wars fans and like Marvel fans, there's some crazy people there too. But like I haven't really been involved in that. But I see this through the Snyder fans all the time, and it's just insane. It's just so hard to believe people are like this. And you even had like Angry Joe, who like I don't pay attention to a lot, but like I know he's a Superman fan, and he was like a Snyder fan too, and like he was watching the sneak peek, and he's like, it's like I've just been on Twitter, and these Snyder fans are weirdos, man. And I was like, Jesus Christ! Like Hollywood Reporter released an article that said, "Oh, the footage was divisive," and everyone's like, "What?" Like, yeah, from the same people who complained about it before, but where's this division coming from? It's them again. It's these fucking insane people that can't get over this movie universe that died years ago. Like, what do they do when a family member dies? Can they not get over that? Do they want to drag them around like Weekend at Bernie's? Like, why can't they get over this shit?
I mean, that's different for a number of reasons.
Well, I mean, it's the whole point of that they can't get over anything. Like, if they refuse to let one thing go, how are they with everything else? There's lots of movies.
It's I mean, a better parallel would be me with ECW, I suppose. But like, grieving a family member is a lot more understandable than grieving stupid fucking superhero movies that weren't very
But at the
good.
same time, whether it's a family, whether it's an actual human being, actually, they should be more invested in the human being than a movie. But like,
That's also kind of my point. Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying too. Is like, if they're gonna treat a movie like this, how do they treat other things? Like at the end of the day, you've got to get over it. It's like things happen, life goes on. How can you keep tweeting about the same thing for the past like 7 fucking years or whatever it is? It doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of things that I wish have happened. Like I want a sequel to this. I want a sequel to that. I don't talk about it every day because there's like more important things, right?
Yeah, but by the same token, somebody making being a fan of something their entire online personality, I'm not. It feels weird to be like, well, how would they deal with a family member dying? Because that's a completely different thing, and who people are online isn't always who they are in real life. They're basically just the DC movie equivalent of like the really insane WWE fans that don't understand anything beyond WWE in terms of how they portray themselves online. But
I'm not being
yeah,
literal. I'm not saying these people are actually dragging family members around. That's ridiculous. I'm not saying that. It's just like,
no, I just like, but like they can't handle this. How do they handle a death? Like people's online personalities are that. Maybe some people do. I don't know. But
uh,
like all of the discourse around that clip is just it's not even a clip. It's a little like 5 minute look. It looked cool. I I'm no more or less excited to see it than I was before. I'm gonna go see it. Probably not on release because I'm gonna be in Dallas, but the amount of like just back and forth I see between people who really love those fucking Snyder movies and Jesus Christ, I don't get it. That 4 hour Justice League movie, I didn't make it through like the first like 45 minutes. I was like, I get it. This movie sucks.
I watched it and I liked it, but it's like And after the end, when they called it like a cul-de-sac and they weren't continuing, I was like, well, how can you not? You just released this. Like, there's got to be interest. But then it was like, okay, you're not doing it. That's it. I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't do anything about it. But they seem to
Yeah,
think that they can because it got released in the first place. They don't understand that it got released because Max needed content. They think it was released because they did that, and now they can do this and they can do that. Well, it's been years now and they haven't done anything else for them. So it's like, when are you gonna stop? It's got to end sometime.
I also think they were probably like, let's give them this to shut them up, and also if it gets us some
Oh,
max subscriptions, that's
yeah,
great.
that's it. That's what it. Max needed content, and it was like, well, this is almost done. Let's give him the rest, or let him do what he wants, and let's finish it and put it out there. Cool, and that's it. And they just will not let it go. And I have a hard time understanding that.
Yeah, I mean, I regularly grieve WCW and ECW, but those things were actually good.
But you don't like tweet every day or go on Blue Sky every day and hashtag restore ECW. Like,
No,
I
but
want
honestly,
I want
maybe if we do it,
no, because they brought back ECW and it wasn't good. I want WCW Mayhem too, and I think about it sometimes, but not every day, because like, while I may not leave the house
make a
much, I still
post
have a
about it.
life. What?
I'm gonna have to make a post about Mayhem too now. Look, man, maybe somebody from EA will see our shit and be like, "Damn, let's give them the unfinished build." I don't even know how far along that game actually made it. If I'm being honest, that shit probably was in development for like 5 months.
I feel like I should remove my Weekend at Bernie's reference now, but I'm not going to because I wasn't literally meaning that people would do that to family members. I was an over exaggeration, so I hope no one gets offended by it.
I I saw the deal because I was able to fucking look on the browser. Hollywood, I'm sorry, Haley J and Tony Cheney are at some sort of convention. They have a wrestling code banner behind them. And the screenshots, as far as we can see, are all from the tech demos, some of which they released years ago now. I don't know if
Well,
you've heard, but 2022 was all gameplay.
that banner was probably made years ago as well.
Yeah, I can't, like two of those screenshots are blocked, so I don't know if one of them might be Bundy, which was last year, I think, or 2 years. I don't fucking know.
A long
My
time
whole
ago.
point is that game has been in development for 5 years,
Yeah.
and there's no excuse after 5 years, especially when in fucking 2021 or 2022 you said it was all gameplay. The one fucking demo people have gotten their hands on did not even run at 30 frames per second. You did not have a vertical slice ready for the first time you let people get hands on this game. This shit is a money laundering scheme. I'm telling you now. That's what it is. That game does not exist until I get a full one-on-one, like AI versus AI full match clip of that game, and then one of actual people playing it. Like I want a camera behind two motherfuckers showing them pressing the buttons to play that game. I don't believe that game exists. I
I don't
just
even I don't even care. I mean, it is
yeah.
it's like just the same thing every time. It's again, yeah, basically what you just said. Like, we need to see actual gameplay. This has been going on forever. It's not
And
even
the same
anything
goes for
new.
UPW at this point, honestly. Like I appreciate the little teases we've gotten, and that stuff's all great. The animations video was great. I need to see like some actual in match shit at this point because when was that showcase when we saw the actual in match footage? Was that like a year and a half ago now?
I think something like that. There's apparently a gameplay video coming out. I guess it's being worked on. I don't know when
That's
exactly
good.
it's going to release. Hopefully soon.
I would recommend not paywalling that. Like that's an update that should be public
Yeah, I
whenever it's
agree. I
released.
I think it's going to be like the YouTube developer diary thing.
Cool. I understand working in silence and all of that stuff, but also we don't have an update on when that demo's coming, correct?
No.
And we haven't seen actual like substantive gameplay footage in a year and a half.
Hmm.
I'd like to see where we're currently at with it and maybe get an update on a demo.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
like for full disclosure, there have been roster announcements on Patreon, but I don't want to talk about them unless we can actually say who they are. And I could give you a cute little hint for the most recent one, and I could make it really fucking obvious who it is too. But like, who cares? They'll reveal it when they reveal it, and it's a name I think is cool. It's a name I think a lot of people who like 90s All Japan would think is cool, or like 80s like UWF. But like, and that actually narrows it down, but not a ton. Um, but like, I almost made a reference that would absolutely give it away. But like, I like cool. Like when it gets announced, it's gonna get traction on social media along with the previous one that we'd. No, wait, that was I almost said the guy's name. The one that you sent me that wasn't the one before that. It's also from 90s All Japan. Um, that one will
Right.
probably get a lot of traction on social media too. But I get doing the Patreon announcements, but I don't get not just posting them publicly like a week later. Like with all due respect, I don't know that roster announcements are like a good reason. Like you could maybe be like, oh, if you want early access to roster announcements, fucking subscribe to our Patreon. But like paywalling them and then not mentioning them publicly for what feels like weeks or months is, I mean, I guess I get it, but I also don't because in the interim between, like not having a lot of like updates, you have your social media guy posting really lame shit. I'm sorry. Um, it would just be cool to see like the roster announcements and like see some excitement drummed up because I really do have somewhat high expectations, and I would like it if people had more realistic high expectations, but also had something to be excited about rather than like the same kind of stuff being put in front of them over and over again. It's the same problem I had with Fight Forever in the sense of like anytime the game got mentioned prior to like that Double or Nothing weekend in 2023, they were just showing us the same shit over and over again. It was so fucking annoying. Like, can I see one new thing? And UPW has been much better about showing new stuff than THQ Nordic were. But it's like, can we have the roster announcements, a couple of them at least, publicly, so we can talk about them and see other people be excited about them? That'd be cool.
There's something I was just thinking of is that one of the DLC names that we can't mention has a voice taunt in one of the previous games. Are they going to have that in UPW? Considering it was in that game, are they going to bring him in to record that one line, or are they going to pull it from somewhere? It's just something I thought about.
I mean, pulling it from somewhere is like risky territory.
Well, yes. I don't
If it's
know.
who I think it is, like you can pay me like $20 and I'll do
Oh yeah,
the fucking voice clip for you because if it's who I think it is, I've been doing that since I was a teenager anyway. So
I think we're on the same wavelength here. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and also to be clear, we about it. It's just I feel scummy talking about stuff that's like paywalled, even though like there's websites that aggregate paywalled stuff all the time. I can tell you who it is, but then it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But also now I feel like Sean Ross Sapp doing the eyeball emoji shit, and I want to just say the fucking three names that I know that haven't been revealed yet. It is what it is. I want updates. Um, Also, you saw the MJF tweet, right? And no, I think I sent you the I because I sent you it's pertinent to UPW because I'm gonna get us in trouble and I don't give a fuck. Let me find it. I know I sent you the screenshots because I got sent the screenshots. um, MJF saying, "I truly don't get why fans get up in arms when WWE mentions or references AEW or when AEW mentions or references WWE. If you want to be treated like children, watch Elmo, or better yet, tell VKM to start a new promotion." Which that last line, dude, go fuck yourself. And
Yeah.
then it was like, apparently, the top reply for the person that sent this to me was the UPW social media guy saying, "It's so soft. Thankfully, we didn't have that weenie energy during the Monday Night Wars." Motherfucker, yes, you did. Those BBSs still exist. Just because you were not part of the fucking internet wrestling community in 1996 did not mean that there were WCW fans not in their fucking feelings about the billionaire Ted skits. Or WWF fans in their fucking feelings about the rumors of all of their favorite fucking guys going to WCW. I'm so
I mean,
tired of this narrative because you see it from people that are younger than us too. Like, oh, the IWC didn't exist when Edge was on top. Yes, it did. We were all saying he fucking sucked then.
when Edge was on top, yeah,
Yeah,
certainly.
in '06. Like that was a response I saw like 2 years ago on Twitter to like a clip of Edge from '06, and I was like, buddy, I was on like 4 different message boards where everybody was like, this guy fucking sucks. And
Yeah,
like Chris Jericho famously on his website got mad because people on message boards didn't like his match with Rob Van Dam, and that was 2001.
wasn't he? Didn't he specifically call out the torch
Yeah, yeah, it
for the
might have been the
review?
torch.
Yeah,
Yeah, and fucking I was on the internet in 2000 on message boards that you could fucking just scroll back through the history, and there were posts from like '97 on there. So don't
yeah.
fucking tell me this shit didn't exist in the Monday Night War just because you weren't fucking involved in it. Jesus Christ, man.
I mean,
You,
uh,
what's next? Are we going to say wrestling fans didn't do this shit in the '80s? Like people didn't write into fucking Dave? Like we don't have empirical fucking evidence of this shit?
they did it in the crowd too. I mean, they would hold signs that say, "I'd rather be at Raw" or some shit like that. I mean,
And
it was
like
noticeable.
fucking WWF fans bring the sign at SummerSlam '98 that mentions Goldberg that got blurred out on the home video release, but isn't anymore because they own everything. Like you didn't tell me that shit didn't exist. Like all the WWF sucks signs you'd see in the crowd on Nitro, and like the fucking like the NWO 316 shit, which is an obvious shot at Austin that they would have in the crowd at WWF shows. Give me a fucking break.
Can you read that MGF tweet one more time?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
I just want to make sure
I gotta
I understood it correctly.
He's basically saying he doesn't understand why people get mad when one company references the others. And if you want to be treated like children, go watch Elmo, or better yet, tell Vince to start a new company.
I think it's silly when they reference another company now, but they don't mention them by name. Like I know that used to be a thing that they would do, but considering like Sami Zayn mentioned AEW a few years ago, and AEW would almost directly say WWE, it's like just say it at this point. I don't like the tiptoeing around actually saying the name of the company anymore.
It's really weird the uptick recently in AEW references by WWE.
It is, yeah. I don't watch, but from what I understand, it's referenced like quite a bit now.
Apparently, Ethan Page mentioned Ricky Starks burning bridges and referenced the other place.
Ugh. It's
Fucking,
like
there was
so
the Punk's
is
doing the I work with children thing, which we talked about previously. Cena said, and this line sums up to me how try-hard fucking edgelord bullshit this John Cena run is. And anybody that's ever said John Cena was underrated or we were all wrong about him, go fuck yourself. I make I make empires for billionaires. You just steal from their children.
right.
Like, eat shit.
When you're referring to the other place, so then are you admitting the competition, or because like why would you even reference it otherwise? Also, like having fucking hell, I wasn't interested. I don't even remember if they feuded, but I wouldn't have been interested in Ricky Starks and Ethan Page and AEW. Never mind WWE. It's like Ethan Page, Ricky Starks, Sean Spears. Come on, what are we doing?
I mean, Starks was of those three the one that actually had upside and they
Oh
clearly
yeah,
had plans for.
yeah.
But
It's just
on this day, I see clearly.
it's just like I don't know. It's like I wouldn't dedicate a lot of time to Starks is good, but like I mean Ethan Page can be okay, but like Sean Spears, I've got no
He
time
sucked.
for. And he's got his own
Yeah.
fucking stable now and shit. It's like fuck off.
Also, do you remember that person I quoted on Blue Sky that got really stupid and talked about how, like Jericho and Edge who don't have toxic backstage attitudes or whatever? There was a report randomly just years later handed out to Fightful that Edge wanted to lose to Finn Balor at WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon wouldn't let him.
Mm,
And this comes out like right after or right around the fucking nail bat spot, and it's like, oh yeah, that's clear who fucking sent that story to SRX.
yeah,
It's
it's good
also
timing.
clear like At one point, Dave mentioned this on Observer Radio. The highest average star rating for a wrestler ever, because somebody went and added it up for him, was Edge. And
Mm.
typically, if you see a guy who's like a pretty okay wrestler, not great, not particularly good, and like Dave's just throwing fucking star ratings at him, one of two things: either a Dave source or one of Dave's sources really likes him. And who did Edge work with in '02? He worked with Eddie, who was a Dave source.
Yeah.
He worked with Benoit, who was a Dave source. Those guys told Dave that fucking Edge is really. It's like when fucking people tried to like sour Dave on Tetsuya Naito for years, and it took Michael Elgin fucking telling Dave no, he's actually good. Like,
What I
God
find
damn.
what I find funny about Edge is like if WWE has really like convinced people that he's like one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
I like Christian a lot more than Edge, and I was telling my nephew this, and he's like, "What do you mean? Like Edge is better?" And I was like, "No, like, Christian had
It's
better
because he got
matches."
pushed better. He
Yeah,
got pushed higher. That's the thing. You see it all the time with wrestling now. If somebody's a mid carder, that must mean they suck because they're not the top guy.
right.
But like fucking oh well, if Brian was so good, then he would have beaten Roman Reigns. Like, are you a fucking mark? They booked him not to beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
Roman Reigns has beaten nobody. What the fuck are you talking about?
when you see people online on Twitter and stuff when they're like, "Who would win if blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "Well, whoever was booked to win, that's who would win."
Are we talking in a shoot here?
Yeah, because
Are we
I don't
shooting?
know. I don't know what type of actual skill they have out in legitimate sports. I don't care. Um, did you see that whole Tiffany Stratton Charlotte thing on SmackDown?
I didn't see it, but I heard apparently they got shitty with each other on the
Oh
microphone, which
God.
typically makes for really funny programming.
I mean, I only saw the end of it because again, I don't watch the show, but the back and forth on the mic and Tiffany Stratton says, like when you lose or something, you'll be alone. What is this? 0-3? And then she goes, woo! And then she leaves the ring like straight away. And as she's leaving, and I think even the music was playing, like Charlotte tries to say, "Is that why Kaiser's in my DMs?" And it was very just like
That would have been a great response immediately after she said it.
it
Not
was like
while the fucking
awkward and
music's
like
playing.
yeah, it was very awkward and like cringy, and it's like I wouldn't be surprised if it was a work because the way people are, the way people like automatically think it's a shoot. I mean, that's what WWE probably wants. And if it is a shoot, then they'll probably just work it into it anyway. I mean, they're wrestling at WrestleMania, but
Isn't
like,
it really weird how like a few years ago everybody thought everything was a work, and we're back to the point where everybody thinks every like halfway behind the scenes mention on screen is a shoot now?
well, I think part of it is because we were told to mention like if someone's on TV and they've got a microphone, then it's a work because Vince wouldn't let them do anything. Oh, he's not going to let them shoot. But then because the way the wrestling is gone with like stuff with like Punk and AEW and some other situations, now people are second guessing, right?
And it's not even second guessing in a way that makes me want to fucking see what happens next.
No,
Because can I
no.
be perfectly honest here? And I might sound like an asshole when I say this. I, I, Tiffany Stratton's a pretty decent wrestler from what I've seen of her, but I really do not care about two blonde white Republican women having a fucking WrestleMania match.
I
And I really
cannot
don't care about two
stand
blonde
Charlotte.
white Republican women getting shitty with each other on the microphone on fucking SmackDown.
I hate it every time Charlotte comes back and she's put into a spotlight. I'm just like,
She's
she's done
not good, man.
she's done everything already. It's like she's gone through like her father's run in like half the amount of time, and it's like I've got no time for her
There's an
anymore.
alimony joke to be made in there too, but I'm not going to make
True.
it 'cause I'm not smart enough to.
It's just like what does she have left to do that's interesting? It's like there's nothing. Wasn't she gonna
Yeah,
make like
like
movies and shit? Like what happened?
I don't know. Like when I say she's not good, I mean like overall. There was a point where I was like, no, Ric Flair's daughter's all right. She could go,
Hmm.
but like now she can go. Like just go away.
Yeah.
What is she gonna do now? Like her versus Stratton. If this was like 2015, Charlotte would be an interesting matchup. Not now.
No. Um what I mean, yeah, like what happens? She beats her, then they have a rematch, or she doesn't beat her and she goes away again, then comes back later. Like I don't care.
Yeah, it is what it is. I was thinking about this because I saw a quote like on Instagram. I opened it and there was like a fucking Cody Rhodes quote saying Logan Paul was their Kurt Angle, and I was like, Cody, my
Huh?
guy, you built your kingdom. You are probably my favorite wrestler that company has access to, but please shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Logan Paul is an interesting case study in how easy it is to convince WWE fans that somebody's actually good. And what I mean by this, and I'll be perfectly clear, I do not like Logan Paul. Those videos from Japan, what was it, like 7, 8 years ago now? Forever cemented my opinion on him. He is a bitch. I do not care. However, in terms of wrestling, he's very good at doing the moves. He's very athletic. Mechanically, he can do whatever they show him to do at the performance center.
Hmm.
My question to you is this: given how heavily agented, produced, whatever phrase you want to use, his matches are, could you drop Logan Paul on an independent show with a guy that's had equal to or less matches than him and have Logan Paul put a match together? No agent, no
No.
fucking performance center to read. Yeah, that's my point. Everybody talks about, like, well, Bad Bunny's so good at wrestling. It's easy to be good when you can fucking workshop your matches repeatedly. You know, Bad Bunny probably, just by virtue of actually being a wrestling fan, might have a clue a little bit more than Logan Paul, but like, put these celebrity guests on an indie show in front of 200 people and put them in the fucking ring with somebody who's had the same number of matches as them. Can they fucking do it? If the answer to that is no, then I don't want to hear that they're better than people who are actual professional wrestlers.
Right. No, I
Like,
think I've seen even WWE fans getting sort of tired of his shtick and moveset recently.
he's just bootleg Hangman Page.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd rather watch Hangman.
And they're putting him against
Somehow,
AJ, right?
yeah, which, like, I wish AJ would just go to AEW.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I I was seeing people on like Wrestling Figs say Logan Paul was better than everybody in AEW, and I was like,
Oh,
if you think he's a better worker than like Okada or Kenny Omega or Osprey or fucking Daniel
Shibata.
Garcia, for Christ's sake, there's another good one. Fucking, if you think he's better than Powerhouse Hobbs, which some people on Wrestling Figs probably would, and the reason wouldn't be like the actual work rate. There's a lot of racists on that board. Like, you think he's better than fucking like Willow Nightingale or Chris Statlander or fucking
Joe.
Hangman or Swerve. Samoa Joe's another good one. Like, no, Logan Paul is not a better worker than fucking Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is like top 5 greatest wrestler of the last 25 fucking years. Logan Paul he's not a pro wrestler. He's a fucking celebrity guest. Please stop this shit.
People are very easy to convince too, though, especially
WWE fans.
when you put
That's
them
the thing.
against people that like can work with them. When I was a kid, I thought that Lawrence Taylor was pretty good at WrestleMania. Like even though his like powerbomb was fucked and was it a powerbomb? I can't remember, but he tried to do something to Bigelow and he fell on his ass. And like you watch it when you're an adult and you're like, holy shit, what was I thinking? I was a
Yeah,
dumb
Bammer
kid.
does a lot in that match.
Oh yeah, it's all Bam Bam. Yeah. And it was a shame what happened to him with his WWF career when he should have got like everything from that match, but
Agreed. And
mm,
also, like, I remember watching Kevin Green when I was a kid, and by all accounts, everybody that was around him in WCW was like, this guy could be one of the best wrestlers we have if he was full time.
yeah.
And watching his matches when I was watching those matches now, like the Slamboree '97 main event, which, to be fair, carefully laid out. But he is great in that match. He's great in the fucking tag match. He's great basically everywhere. I think he wrestles Reggie White, and Mongo wrestles Reggie White.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know why the hell I thought Kevin Green involved in like the promos in that angle, or like somehow
I think he
maybe.
was.
I vaguely remember him being involved in that. I get which football player wrestled who in WCW, like, jumbled sometimes, but like Kevin Green was great in. I haven't seen the Giant match in a long time, but Kevin Green was great in basically everything I saw him in. And watching him as an adult, it's like, yeah, no, he had it. He
Yeah, he
he
got it.
could have actually fucking done this. Yeah, I don't think like Kevin Green, I'm pretty sure could have put a match together with a little bit more experience. Like if he had as many matches as Logan Paul has now, but in WCW, Kevin Green probably could call a match. I
Hmm.
don't think Logan Paul gets it. I think Logan Paul understands Shawn Michaels telling. And by the way, you have Shawn Michaels putting your matches together for you.
Yeah, I think the one person he works with a lot in the performance center is Shane Helms.
Oh well, there's a guy who's a good wrestler too.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, when I see the like, oh, Logan Paul's such a good wrestler, like Jesus Christ, it's easy to fool WWE fans. I mean, look at how many of them are still convinced like Adam Cole was like a great worker. Like, no, he has an entrance you think is cool. Bell to bell, Adam Cole has not had it since like the mid 2010s at best.
They've really given up on him in AEW, huh? Like,
He's probably winning the TNT title tonight.
true, but like, it just seems like such an afterthought. Like, when was the last time he was on Dynamite? Has he been on recently?
He might have been on Wednesday. I know they've been doing the thing with him and Garcia on Collision. I think they taped a segment for those guys tonight. But like, it was cool when he came in because like that's a big star to the audience. I've not been an Adam Cole fan in a very long time, but like he has never shed the fucking NXT bullshit. And I know Bix wrote an article after Revolution 2022 saying that he had. And like, no, that Hangman match sucked. That wasn't Hangman's fault.
Mm.
And because they have the rematch with the Crown of Thorn, Deadeye off the apron through a table. And that match was terrible. In like the Jericho match, whatever Double or Nothing that was, is like one of the worst matches I've ever seen. And there's a stunning number of those matches with Jericho in AEW. It's crazy for a guy that's allegedly the greatest over 50 wrestler of all time. Like
Ugh.
the list of matches he's had in AEW that are good, I could eclipse that with the list of things I've seen him in AEW that are just dog shit.
Yeah,
Um,
can we get rid of Jericho now?
yeah, can we like fucking can we just like jettison him into the sun? That would be great.
I don't even think
Um,
WWE would want him back.
oh, I think they would if it fucking meant like they could hurt AEW.
I
And let's be perfectly clear about this: the whole like wanting Sting to induct Luger, that's so they can fucking treat Sting like a big deal in a way that they didn't 10 years ago. And like, oh, you want to sign that Legends deal with us, don't you, Stinger?
Well, Sting is like he seems still like very much what's the word? All in, I guess, with AEW. Wouldn't it be cool if Sting was just like on there and it's like thanks to like Tony Khan and AEW for allowing me to induct Lex Luger into the Hall of Fame? WWE couldn't do anything about that. I mean, they might like edit it out of like their future broadcasts or like on Netflix or YouTube or whatever, but like if he says it at the moment, they can't do anything about it. It'd be cool if he said something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not that it
I
really
have
matters,
friends
I
that
suppose.
are excited about WrestleMania and like
I'm not.
I don't have it in me at this point. There are things I like that WWE does or things that WWE does that I like, depending how you want me to phrase that. But I'm not doing two fucking 4 hour shows that have five matches on them in one weekend. I'm
I'll
sorry.
watch them.
That's fucking insane.
I'll watch them live on Netflix, but it's like there's nothing that I've seen or heard that is making me super interested to see any of it. I mean, I thought it was cool that Io won the title, but now she's probably going to lose it. That sucks. Um, what else is happening? Like the Cena and Cody match could have been interesting, but the Cena heel turn has been very boring. And the fact that he came out and was like, "I'm not going to change my music or the way I look and shit," I was like, "Why, dude? Like, this was your one chance to do that, and you were going to do that at one point. Now you're not going to. That's bullshit." Um, I don't even know what else is on there, really.
Well, there's the Roman Punk Rollins three way with the
The
favor is
Bermuda.
CM Punk wants Heyman in his corner.
That
Okay.
was it. Why?
I don't know. I don't.
What's the
I
purpose of
wish I
that?
knew. Fuck, I don't know.
Then there's like, Christ, what else is happening on that show? Oh, Jey Uso and Gunther, which I can't say I have any interest in.
I let's just talk action figures. Jesus Christ. Um, so we did see Maximum Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
He's he was allegedly $60. Maybe we see a price increase due to the tariffs. I
Probably.
see a lot of people dunking on this figure, and I don't get it. I think the legs and maybe the arms are reused, but we finally have a Hulk that can do the thunderclap because they did. He does have butterfly joints, but he also has a Storm Collectibles esque upper torso piece that's like a softer like vinyl, so you'll get pretty good range of motion on him. And I saw people trying to concern troll like, well, the rubber might fail eventually. There are Storm Collectibles figures that are like almost a decade and a half old now that are fine. I think it's going to be okay.
This will surprise you though. I mean, if the whole thing we
No,
talked about
dude, it's
social
fucking
media
people have
people,
this like people get so stupid about Hasbro stuff and like their price points are all over the place. Some of that is absolutely Marvel. I also I
right?
got the Maximum Spider-Man in hand yesterday. Incredible figure. Um
Mhm.
but like you see this Hulk, three different portraits based on three different artists. It's like Ed McGuinness, Dave Keown, and who the fuck was the other one? Um yeah, I lost it. I had him like loaded up, ready to say I got 2 out of 3. That's fine. He has like the firing missile effect, like the this like whoosh effect, and then like the thunderclap effect you put over his hands when you have him posed like that. He has like the C grip type hands. He has like closed fists. He has the open hands. If this thing stays $60, it's the best value you're going to get on a Hulk figure, especially in this line. It looks great. It looks better than I expected it was going to look, and I expected it was going to look pretty cool. For me, the maximum line is 2 for 2. But then there was somebody who decided to go on Instagram and be insanely homophobic. Like, it's one thing to say y'all are dick riding. It's another to like describe how you think people are. Like, it's the kind of homophobia that borders on like you're really insecure about something. Like, chill out with them, bud. But like I saw that Anthony's Customs idiot did a video, and like that guy's been recommended to me for years because I watch action figure reviews. He is a fucking moron. I don't I like I oh, is Spider-Man worse than or Hulk worse than Spider-Man? How? He's only $10 more, and it's a completely new articulation system on Hulk. And it's a green Hulk figure, which they fucking barely ever do anyway.
What was
And
your story
also,
about going to see that movie?
thank you. Okay, so in '03, when the Hulk movie came out, I went to see the movie with my cousin Chris. My cousin Fuckhead gave us a ride to the theater, and literally as we were leaving, Mom turns it to whatever channel the Reba show was on, and we're under a tornado watch.
Oh,
You can maybe see where this is going. So we get into the theater. My cousin pays for my ticket. We each get a pop. We each get a popcorn, and we sit down. And it's the fucking Hulk movie. Let's go. And then like we get a little bit, not even 10 minutes into the actual movie, and there's like this like weird audio issues are happening. Like the speakers are kind of fucked up. Like it feels like a bunch of people are like jumping up and down on the roof, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. And all of a sudden, like the usher's like, everybody into the lobby, into the lobby. And I'm like, the fuck? Can I take my pop? And they're like, yeah, you can bring your food, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I have my little popcorn and my pop. And I go to the thing, and it's a tornado warning. There's a tornado heading towards my town, allegedly. And the brain trust at the movie theater did not think to put us in the hallway like you do when you have a tornado drill in elementary school. They put us in the lobby. So if straight line winds hit those glass doors and broke them, everybody's fucked. Like that's like a lawsuit right there. Like people are gonna get hurt badly. And I just remember going, why are we out here? Like there's a hallway right there. We can all get like you do the deal where you sit down. I don't know if you guys do the tornado drills in Canada, but like you would sit down against the wall and you would like you basically do like a crunch while you were sitting down. You'd like try to like tuck your head as far into your like knees as you could. That way,
right.
if anything fell on your head, it wouldn't kill you or something. I always question the wisdom of it because like, well, if a tornado like collapses the ceiling on top of me, wouldn't me holding my head in this position mean it lands directly on my spinal cord, thus killing me?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem very safe there, ma'am.
No.
But like, So we didn't end up getting to see the movie, obviously, because once it was over, it was like, yeah, you guys got to go home. I don't think we even got our money back.
That's bullshit.
And like we call my mom once the power comes back on, and mom comes and gets us, and she's like, I tried to stop you guys. I guess mom came out the door, but we were already at the end of the block, and she was just like, oh well. I was like, you couldn't follow us up to the movie theater? Yeah, you had to watch Reba that goddamn badly. Um, but it was funny because my friend Scott, the town he lived in, was like super flooded. Like their house was like the back half of their house was like uninhabitable. So his mom was like, "Hey, can he stay with you for the weekend?" And when I was a kid, I always liked having my friend Scott around because he's my best friend. I barely ever got to see him. And this was right around the time he moved to the same town as me, so we would hang out like like summer '02. He was at our house every Friday night. That was a given. Like no phone call had to be placed. We just knew at like 5 o'clock on Friday we were going to go pick him up. And we went back to the theater the next day and we were like, we're going to go see the Hulk. The only cinema in the fucking theater that wasn't damaged was the one showing Legally Blonde 2. So that's what we watched.
It was a gift from God.
And we like literally the only thing we like the entire movie, we were like, yeah, she's hot. I don't really understand what this movie's about.
That
She's
came
hot.
out. That came out when Terminator 3 came out. Because I remember they did like a TV spot which made her look like a Terminator or something, and Terminator fans were pissed because it was like running head to head with it. We've never done tornado drills. I think there's only been like rare occasions of tornadoes in these provinces. The only thing we did was like evacuate the school in case of emergency and like fire drills and shit like that. No tornadoes.
Speaking of evacuating, have I ever told the story of what happened on the 1 year anniversary of 9/11 when I was in fifth grade?
No, but that sounds interesting.
Okay, so it's 9/11/02. Never forget. And there might be copyrighted. No, wait, no, I was supposed to. There might be copyrighted audio in the background here in a second, but I remembered I put my glass right here in the sink.
I
Um,
think that's what matters.
so like maybe, but we're in school and I think we're running the half mile because fifth grade it was the half mile. Sixth grade was when it was like put your fucking big boy pants on. It's time to run the fucking mile. But so we're running and we do the fucking thing where you like kneel for the moment of silence because everybody that had passed away in the terror attacks and the subsequent cleanup efforts and all of that stuff. And we get back to class and like I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my friend Mason about something, and then all of a sudden like the fucking you hear the phones for each classroom in every direction ringing. And like my teacher hangs up the class phone and like the look on her face told me something was fucking wrong. She was like, all right, guys, we're going to do a fire drill real quick. And people are like, we don't hear lunch. She's like, we're doing a fire drill.
Hmm.
So the entirety of the student body gets taken out and moved far enough away from the school. Like we go way further than a fire drill because like with a fire drill, like the classrooms that were on the back half of the school would go out back and then we would go front because we were on the front half. No, everybody was like fucking single file. So we knew where everybody was, right? And my friend Skylar lived literally right there. He's like, I could just go back to my house right now. Nobody would know. And I was like, can I hang
Nice.
out? And one of the teachers walked up and was like, actually, we know you live here. So no. And I was like, but if he goes in the house and just doesn't answer the door, that creates a potential messy scenario, though, because of what I'm about to say. So we're outside for like an hour and a half. The police cars come. These fucking like these big police cars that aren't from our town. Like now we have like the SUV fucking things that look like they don't look like cop cars, but they're cop cars because they say police on the side. But these like big like SUV looking things come in, and I knew shit was a little suspect when I turned around and I saw something that looked like a SWAT team going in, and one of the teachers was like, "Yeah, you can't look at the school right now."
Huh.
So we get back inside, and I guess a couple of the teachers got overheard by one of my classmates, and we noticed there are a couple of kids that aren't here now. Like there was a kid in my class, his name was TJ, and he was gone. And I didn't like that kid. He's the fucking piece of shit and still is. Um, also this is one of the reasons I thought he was a piece of shit when we were kids. But like as the day goes on, it like all these rumors start to bubble up. But because I'm not talking to the popular kids that already know, apparently, I don't hear until the next day. Did you hear what happened with TJ, Steven, and like one of the other kids? I think his name was Colton. I was like, no, what? They called in a bomb threat.
Oh, nice.
But if you were going to call in a bomb threat, would you maybe not call it in from the grocery store a block away? And if you did it from the grocery store a block away, would you maybe not be the only 3 students that day that showed up late?
Yeah, they didn't really plan that out.
No, they were idiots. And like it was funny in retrospect because my friend Scott was like by like his dad's marriage to somebody like related to fucking the kid Steven. And I was like, I was at my friend Scott's house and he came up and he was just kind of talking. I'm like, can I ask you something? He's like, what? And I was like, how the fuck did you think that was gonna work? He was like, I thought we were gonna get out of school. And I was like, but then you fucking showed up. And also using the payphone like within fucking full view of the guy that owned the grocery store you were doing it from. So when the cops traced the call and they went there, they're like, can you identify the fucking kids? And the guy was like, yeah, I can. And they showed him the
Jesus.
fucking pictures. And I was like, independent of nothing, that's a funny story I'm going to be able to tell for the rest of my life. But at the same time, like, Jesus Christ, man.
I've been in a scenario with a bomb threat before, and it wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't take it serious at all. And I'll leave out some of the details because I don't want to go over it too much. But when it was over, I was supposed to. Everyone went back in the building, and I went right back in and came back out. And they're like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Oh, I'm done for the day. Bye." So yeah, it wasn't a huge deal. I don't know whatever happened to the person that they thought called that in, but yeah, I mean I knew it wasn't real by the second it happened. It's just like this can't be true.
A funny postscript to that story was 2 years later. I never liked that Steven kid. I would tolerate him if he was around my friend Scott because, like, I'm not going to start a fight at somebody else's house. I'll fight a fight at my house. I have zero problem
Right.
doing that. But if it's somebody else's house, whatever. He was like a real fucking piece of shit and always made sure he had his buddies with him, which is how you know, like, he act tough, but you're like half the size of everybody you're fucking with, but there's 4 of you and one of them.
Hmm.
We had almost gotten into a fight because there was a kid with epilepsy that he hit. And I was like, all right, I've put up with this for long enough. And then I noticed he was getting pulled off by the principal for a completely unrelated incident. And the principal didn't believe anybody when we were like, well, you're going to yell at him for this too. That principal is also dead and good riddance. A funny story about that too. Not her dying, but like a
What?
couple of years later, I'm at the Big Lots in Van Wert, Ohio, right?
Hmm.
And my friend and I are in there, and we're like, oh yeah, he's from my town. And she was like, "Oh, my sister was the principal at the middle school." And my friend starts nudging me towards the door. He's like, he's got nothing good to say. Like we got to the parking lot, he's like, "Man, I didn't mean to like shove you out the door, but I knew where that was gonna go." But a year later, that kid picked a fight with my friend Grant and got the shit kicked out of him. And I was like, "Well, I sure wish I was there." He's like, "Why? So you could have stopped me?" And I was like, "No, so I could have joined in." Because that kid deserved it. The little motherfucker, we used to call him like Slim Shady because he looked like a skinnier like bootleg version of Eminem. And I was gonna say I don't know what happened to that guy, but I think he's currently in jail for some really fucked up shit. So
Oh,
yeah, fuck
nice.
him.
I
Yeah.
didn't I
Uh,
didn't get into a lot of fights in school. I was I don't know, I was like a I didn't like fighting. I don't like getting hurt. But there was this kid that would like I was bullied a lot in school. Especially this one kid that would just do like every day. And he was a friend of a friend of mine, which really was shitty. There was actually one time, and this was a different kid, and this was in middle school. And it was another case of a kid being a friend with a friend of mine that hated me. And in class, he just got up and he starts like hitting me across the face back and forth. And like, I pushed him back into his seat and he's like, "Oh, you broke my ribs. I'm going to tell the teacher, yada, yada." And like, he didn't get in trouble at all. I didn't get in trouble at all from that. And I'm just like, "Sure, you're a kid." And you're just like, how the shit does this happen? Like, how did you not get in trouble for that? I remember this other kid, like, in the middle of everybody with his friends on the schoolyard in an elementary school, tripped me down and like my head hit the cement. And I got up and was starting to follow him, and this French teacher was just like, don't." And I was like, "You just knocked me down." And she's like, "I saw it," and she didn't do anything about it. And I was like, "This is fucked up." That's how school always was, though, for me. You know, you get abused and shit. Nobody ever did anything about it. School sucked. I
There
hated it.
was there was a point where I stopped taking shit. Like I'm not the toughest person in the world. But what I realized as a kid is everybody has an idea in their head of who they're going to be when some shit goes down.
Mm,
And a lot of times those people are the ones that are willing to like, oh, what are you going to do about it? And then the second you do something about it, who they think they're going to be if somebody finally fights back is not who they are.
right.
And I had that moment of clarity, and it was really funny because like I didn't hurt that kid. I punched him in the stomach really hard. And I was like, okay, like I'm probably going to get in trouble for that, but now I've come over the mental hurdle of like I don't want to hurt somebody, but I will if I always tell myself I'll hurt somebody if I have to. And then it just became like I was a real shithead teenager. It didn't take a whole lot for me to be like, hey buddy, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
But like in school, there was this kid that like the entire seventh grade year kept calling me fat, which I was 258 pounds, I want to say in seventh grade. It's also 6 feet tall. Um, Not a great combination when everybody appears to be like half your size, except for the other two kids in gym class you get along with. And he, like, I had detention the one time I ever had detention, and he starts like talking shit, and he goes, "What are you gonna do about it, fat ass?" And like, I just like gut reaction. Just I grabbed him by his shirt and like slammed him into the locker. And the assistant principal, who sounded like Johnny Ace and used to crack me the fuck up when I first saw Johnny Ace on TV. Hey, you two get out of here and go home. Detention's over. And I was like, all right. And then that kid never fucking shit talked me again. There's like other horrible stories I could tell about when I was a teenager, but I won't do it because I'm not proud of like getting into fucking altercations or whatever. But like I people picked on me for being overweight until I was like, okay, well, here's what I intend to do about that.
Well,
And
my story was a bit different. They used to pick on me for that too, and then there was a point in high school when I was quite obviously very, very depressed. Like it was obviously physically. And one of those kids that used to bully me in elementary school actually apologized to me one day because he must have thought like this kid's in like a bad state, and like everyone just seemed to leave me alone at that point because they were like, he can't take it anymore. Sadly, that's the way it was. Unfortunately,
I have the opposite experience. There were people that were really shitty to me when I was a kid. Even people I got into fights with that if they see me now, they walk up to me like we were friends. And I'm like, no, fuck you.
oh, I've had that happen before too. Like being in like a store and one of the guys worked there and he's like, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" I'm just like, "Oh, well, why are you talking to me now when I needed help to confirm what our homework was when we were in middle school and I emailed you, you said never speak to me again. So what are you talking to me now for?" You know, people are
I'm
strange.
glad I'm not the only one that like actually remembers specific grudges.
Oh, I remember all sorts of shit from
Yeah.
school specifically because like it was torturous. I fucking hated school. Like it was awful, and I mean elementary school especially. Like every day I would get bullied, and it affected me greatly. Quite obviously, like when I talked about when I was in high school, I was quite obviously incredibly depressed, and it seemed like nobody wanted to do anything about it. Nobody wanted to help, and yeah, I don't know. It took me a long time to get over. It wasn't until like a previous job and I worked there and made some new friends and stuff happened, and that was when, it felt like for the first time everything was gonna be all right, I suppose. I'm getting into some like psychiatrist type shit now, but it was difficult. But
I'll bill you at the end of the show. It's okay.
okay.
No, listen, this is a podcast about two dumb motherfuckers talking about just shit, man. We don't have an actual theme on this show. It's
No,
what
and
the
it's
fuck were we talking about before we got off on that?
you were talking about the saying which you were talking about the Hulk figure and then seeing the movie and the tornado warning.
Oh, yeah, God, wow, that's we fucking branched.
Yeah, that was quite a wild ride.
Yeah. Um, also this week, Zombie Sailor confirmed what I'd been thinking for a bit. The 2025 Comic Con exclusive is going to be another orange card figure. This time it's going to be uh, Mabel. I don't know what the acceptable name. I think it's Nelson Frazier Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bobby Horn's Mo.
Hmm.
Um, this deviates a little bit from the artwork done by Ron Rudat, but also like the Jarrett one kind of did and the Bastion Booger one kind of did. It's the same general kind of pose until you see the side profile, and it's not so much the earthquake body, it's a little bit more Yokozuna-ish, which I think works. And also the attire detailing is decoed on, which means if he was able to and if he so chose, you could do a King Mabel repaint.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like this looks fucking incredible. And I sent you the thing from the Major Pod group. Somebody putting the Mitch, Ahmed, Henry Godwin, and Mabel against the zombie ones, and it's like all the people that said the fucking Mitch figures look better look really dumb when you see that comparison because Jesus
Well,
Christ.
I saw that the image posted on 3 Points of Articulation podcast Facebook group, and there was multiple comments saying that Mitch's were better, and I was just like, I give up. What is happening?
I'll paraphrase D Freedom when they were talking about the Men on a Mission figures. Wrestling fans love their fucking garbage.
I see the discussion that Mitch's is like more like a Hasbro, and
I don't think they are.
I think the thing that really sticks with people is that the Hasbros they weren't realistic. They looked more like cartoon characters. Like they didn't look really like real people, right? They weren't
But
going
they
for
had
realism.
super detailed sculpting.
Right, that's true. But like they say something now, and you take a look at the Mabel from Zombie Zayla, and it looks more like what an actual person is supposed to look like, as opposed to Mitch's, which is more like cartoonish. And they see that, and they automatically say, "Oh well, his is closer to the Hasbro. That's better." I think that's just the way they view it. But I
Yeah,
mean,
but like when you look at the actual like sculpting of the figures, what Zombie does is way more in line with Hasbro because like up to the point when they started doing like the reuse for everybody and then like they kind of went off the rails a little bit. The body sculpts on those old figures are really detailed even with the cartoonish proportions.
yeah, I don't know. I just think that's, in my opinion, that's the reason people try to come up with. I mean, I don't agree with it,
Oh
but
no, you're
that's what
right.
they.
That's the whole thing. Do you remember a few years ago when people got up their ass about the Hasbro Shine? Which that's
Yeah.
not a trademark thing for Hasbro. That's just called ABS plastic.
Mm.
Like, and Mitch doesn't even use ABS plastic, and people are like, "Oh, he's got the shine." Like, fuck you,
Covered in grease, it's
fuck
fine.
you. Yeah. I think the Mabel looks good. The tariff situation is like Zombie posted in the Major Pod group about it, and then weirdly, 99% of the comments I saw were like, "Yeah, fuck the guy who did this." Like, fucking, I can't believe people voted for him. This is what you get. All of a sudden, the comments in the Major Pod group got turned off, which is crazy because there wasn't a debate going on that I saw. It was basically all one side.
Interesting.
And then Cardona made a post about, like, oh, there's zero tolerance for politics. And it's like, buddy, politics heavily impact this fucking hobby now. You can't talk about action figures without talking about this shit. I'm sorry. That's just the way it goes. And then you have the smooth brain dumb fucks like, well, just manufacture in the US. Okay, couple things here, sweetheart. One, we don't have the infrastructure for it here anymore. Two, you'd have to pay American wages. So guess what that's going to do to those fucking figures? Do you like the idea of paying $50 for an elite? I'm talking 50 USD, so that's like what, like 72 for you guys?
Yeah, something like that.
You want to pay $72 for an elite? No, you don't. I don't
Ooh.
want to pay 50 for an elite. And people think like, well, just manufacture in the US. Like that's such an easy fucking thing. Like, no, it's not. We don't have the fucking infrastructure or the fucking like we have anything to be able to manufacture like toys or fucking like silicon chips or any of that shit in this country. It's not fucking possible. It's not viable. And people are like, oh, it's just that easy. Like, okay, where do you want that Mattel factory to go in the U.S. Dumb fuck? Where are you gonna pop? Where are you gonna pop one of those up? How are you gonna? Do you want the figures to be the same price? How are you gonna convince Americans to take a job for like a third of what the fucking federal minimum wage is? Just make being a toy maker your fucking passion project? Like, or what the fuck are we doing here?
I like this comment. This is on Russia's Trump figure. It says,
Oh
"What is the
boy.
tariff situation on these? You should do a 50% on discount for Trump voters. They pay an extra 50% and still love our commander in chief, USA."
What was his response?
He didn't respond to it, but somebody else is like, "How do you even prove that you voted for Trump?"
It's illegal to like publicly disclose. Like if you were able to demonstrably prove it, I think that like
Oh god,
violates some sort of like privacy shit.
that's still funny though because like this is the situation, and he's the one that's done this, and you feel like you should get money off because you voted. It just doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid. I love it.
That almost feels like a troll post, but I don't have any faith left in humanity. So,
Oh, it's good. I love
um,
people.
we talked a bit about the Gangrel Regium figure, and then Mitch, hours after we recorded, decided he was gonna fucking drop the full render. Looks like we're reusing the body from Ahmed Johnson on Gangrel, which for a number of reasons I think is a little bit silly. Head sculpts are good though,
Yeah, I know it's one of
but
those.
also it's a render, so
Yeah, it's one of those situations I need to see it in physical form before pass too much judgment.
and also what are these going to cost? Because like $50 is the high end. Like I know the zombie figures are going to go up minimum $5, and we already know around about what the quality of those is going to be just based on the figures he's put out.
Right.
I don't know that I'm willing to pay $50 to Mitch for a Gangrel.
No, it should probably be maybe $10 cheaper.
You know, if you're Mitch and you're based in like Ohio, but you have ties to people in New York, why aren't you hitting up like J&J Figures to be like an official distributor for your shit?
I don't know.
Like, why aren't you hitting up like figure collections to fucking help you out a little bit? Why
Y-
aren't you like trying to? You're in Ohio. Why aren't you trying to start like a fucking wholesale account with the toy department like Zombie has?
Does he
Because
still have
the
his
toy
own store?
department, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know,
I thought he did. I could be wrong.
but like you could get the cost on these, both production and final cost for the customer, down if you just established a fucking distribution network.
True.
And because out of the two lines, if I'm being perfectly honest, I could see the zombie stuff seems way more logical for modern, but also with tariffs and shit, is modern retail gonna fucking take another wrestling figure line on? I mean, he's
Oh,
got big name signs, so like maybe, but like Zombie's got like evidence of selling thousands of figures. Mitch, I don't believe. Like, look, all things being equal, the one independent toy maker that's not the majors because they don't really do the retros, the one that I could see not being in the same ballpark as Zombie, but doing like being the obvious number two, and then it's a gap for everybody else would be Epic.
right. Yeah.
And
And
I just don't see Mitch's figures. Like, there's not a lot of them on the secondary market, which tells you right away there's not a lot of people buying them.
yeah, I mean, you talked about like would they still accept his figures at retail? I feel like there's so much up in the air right now. We saw
Yeah,
that one company that was doing like comic figures. They canceled their Kickstarter, canceled the line, and it's like, what do you think's going to happen to these other retro companies that have popped up? I mean, we've talked about it for a while. Like, there needs to be less of them, and they might be forced to close
Yeah.
with this situation going on.
Yeah, and KWK stuff's not going to stay $16 for long.
No,
So yeah, that this whole situation is fucked. I did see though that they're doing like a 1/12 scale of that long box heroes line because there's like a pre-order up for the tick. And
oh
when I
okay,
saw that, I was like, "Oh, are they doing everybody?" Because I was about to buy Savage Dragon. I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
yeah.
Apparently, the future of that line is dependent on how well the tick figure does, and that figure looks incredible. I just don't have an attachment to that character.
Hmm.
Um, I swear there were other action. Oh, Mattel Creations slash the WrestleMania week store. They're getting an exclusive John Cena "The Last Time Is Now" figure, and I don't fucking care.
No,
I just it's John Cena, dog. I don't give a fuck.
we
Um,
had the Toonies got Road Warriors,
Road
and
Warrior Hawk. Oh, does he have
uh
both of them now?
yeah, I think he posted a picture of Animal as well, and
Okay.
just like, well, what's the point? I mean, unless you're doing like the mini LGN ones, like the Savage, it's like, uh, what are you gonna do that's different?
Like, yeah, the majors have already done them in the red for Big Bad Toy Store, and fucking they've already done the NWA Road Warriors. What are you gonna do? Fucking LOD 2000? Good luck.
Oh God, maybe.
Apparently, he's gonna be at WrestleCon, so good for him. I didn't realize he was based in California. Apparently,
Hmm.
I thought
No,
he was based in New York.
I didn't know where he was.
I I still can't believe he had the audacity to 3D scan a Kara Pro Inoki and then not fix the shoulder seams.
I think that's the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, it's very funny. It's just it's obvious what it is,
Yeah,
and
I mean, it couldn't be
as
more
on
obvious.
right, and as on the fence as I've been about giving him money for like those mini savages, that Inoki thing makes me never want to give him money.
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm kind of like, I think I need this because it's so ridiculous. Like, it's such a like such a like an obscurity thing, and it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I'm ever gonna buy it, but like still, I'm just like, that's so crazy.
I just how do you not have whoever does your 3D modeling clean that the fuck up? It
Yeah,
also it's not even based on like the young Inoki figure that they put out with like Carl Gotch or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
It's like it's the 96 hyper hero. It's the first hyper heroes figure.
You should
Now
have
my
done like,
question is he
does
gonna
he
do
do?
homeless Inoki?
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
I'll buy that. I'll buy an LJN homeless Inoki. Fuck it. What a weird goddamn figure. It's also like one of the taller Carapros too.
That whole line, I mean, that whole brand is just weird. Like the choices that he's made, and they're just it's just the whole thing is just strange. It's like you're releasing all these LGNs that have already been made on in some cases remade by Major, much better quality. It's like I don't get your whole business model.
I don't either. I don't think Mitch has posted anything in a couple of days. He was at Steel City Comic Con. I thought there might have been some reveals there, but apparently not. Golly gee whiz, man. I can't believe he's actually putting that Inoki out. And I know I've said this a bunch, but goddamn.
It's gonna be
I mean,
fun.
Inoki won't buy A, but like, come on.
I'm looking forward to like the reviews of from whoever buys it.
Oh, also, we got to talk about this. In 2010, the New Japan DVD House released the Antonio Inoki 50th anniversary box set. It retailed at the time for 100,000 yen or about $978.
Ooh.
Um, I was like 19, unemployed, and I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to ask mom. And then I saw the price and I was like, nope, fuck that. Ain't no way. And the other night I noticed there's an Inoki 65th anniversary box set, and it's literally just that box set for a lot cheaper, like $400 instead of 900, and it's being billed as a digital remaster, which is weird because I thought like in the 2000s we all did the digital remaster thing and everything was just digitally remastered anyway. Apparently I was wrong. Um, as near as I can figure, there are out of the 10 discs, there are 4 discs that have complete matches, and then apparently everything else is either clipped or it might be full. There's nothing really denoting stuff being complete or not other than the 4 discs where everything is complete. And there's some really interesting matches on the set that I've either not seen in a long time or I just completely forgot existed or didn't know existed, like Inoki and Fujinami facing Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes in like 1982.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Um, I really wanted this set a long time ago, and the benefit to this coming out when it is, which is the end of July, is it's after All In. So I will have the fucking money for this. I will have the money and I will have the time. Um, just for some interesting things that I noted here. There's some of these matches are going to have like commentary from either Inoki's opponent or just somebody else that is like an Inoki disciple. Like for example, Gotch versus Inoki, the main event of the first New Japan show, has Tatsumi Fujinami as like a guest commentator. Tenyu guest commentates the famous Tokyo Dome match with those two, which is really cool. I think Minoru Suzuki does commentary over the IWGP 83 final. And actually looking at it now, Suzuki does commentary for the August 8th, 88 60-minute draw, which I just watched the other night for the first time in a few years because I saw the thread from Matt D on Blue Sky about it. That match, more often than not, since the first time I saw it, has been my answer for the greatest match of all time. Watching it again, yeah, that's the one. Inoki versus Muta from '94. There's commentary from Muto. Obviously, you'd need a better understanding of Japanese than the average Westerner watching this to really get the most out of it. I just think it's very cool that they have this. There's some really neat stuff here too. Like I lost the. You get the September '85 match with Inoki and Fujinami, with Fujinami doing commentary. And for anybody that hasn't seen it, that's like an all-time classic. I believe it's on New Japan World. It's mid '80s, so the finish maybe isn't very satisfying. But before the finish, that is as good of a technical wrestling match and like real applied technical wrestling as you'll ever see.
This is a DVD set, right?
This one's a Blu-ray.
Oh, I was gonna say it because I was gonna say it just seemed like with Japan there'd still be like a lot of DVD sets being released, and I'm like, why did they never really get into Blu-rays? But I'm happy to hear that's a Blu-ray.
Oh, they started with the IWGP Complete Box series, which, by the way, that name's a motherfucking lie. There are clip matches all over those.
Oh,
but they did those for years, and then I was like, it would be really cool if they did specific wrestler-based sets. And then they did Inoki 60th anniversary, they did Tiger Mask 40th anniversary, they did Takada 40th anniversary. And then last year they did the New Japan All Japan foreign wrestler selection sets.
right.
And I think they did a Maeda 40th anniversary set too, or 45th anniversary. They did a Maeda Blu-ray, and I was like, "Oh, go on."
No, I was just gonna say, like, I wish the Old Japan women DVDs that I got were actual Blu-rays. That'd been cool.
Yeah, the video quality varies. Like, it's better than a DVD, but they use single layer Blu-rays, so like it's not as good as it could be.
Mm.
The sets are really expensive, obviously, but also the KG Muto and Great Muta Blu-ray sets. They did those, and I have them, and they're wonderful. It's really cool that they're doing this Inoki set, and part of the synopsis mentions ensuring the Showa era wrestling culture is presented for future generations. And
That's cool.
that hit me like a wrecking ball, because fucking imagine that being the mentality for putting out like a Bruno Sammartino set.
Yeah.
like in the US, or an Andre the Giant set. Like obviously the end game is profit and everything like that, but there is a much greater effort in Japan to keep this stuff out there than there is in the US. I mean, they're still doing classics tradition on G Plus. I think they might finally be into 1991, or they're going to be in 91 soon. And the whole gimmick of that show is it picks up where the original All Japan Classics left off, which was like 1988.
Right.
And I wish VOP was more willing to do Blu-rays, because they collaborated with the New Japan All Japan set, or sets, because there's two of them. And it made me go like, it'd be really cool. Fucking Blu-ray the old Kobashi box set, motherfuckers. Well, why don't you Blu-ray those fucking Misawa DVDs while we're at it? Why don't we Blu-ray that goddamn Jumbo Saruta DVD I got?
I would like a lot of
But
the stuff from the 90s to be, Blu-rays, and or even I would even take DVD releases of someone like Wing and like IWA Japan, and I know FMW is like all over the place, but if
oh,
you could
there's
get
there's a bunch of like Wing and there's DVDs of that stuff. It's not like nearly complete,
no,
but in the 2010s, like UWFI and Wing and even some early Big Japan stuff started circulating again on DVD. The UWFI DVDs, by the way, look fucking amazing.
I think I have some like history of Wing DVDs that I got sent to me. I think they're in my storage unit, and I need to pull them out again because I remember like them being quite long and like going through like the whole history of the promotion. I remember there was a big deal of when uh Kanemaru gets like burned by Jado and Gedo. So yeah, I need to view this, but I'd really love like complete shows because you see some of those on like archive and stuff, and obviously in some cases the quality isn't great on them, and some of them are like handheld and stuff, and it'd be cool if it was just like a complete archive, or even like there was like an on-demand channel and stuff for like Wing and IWA and stuff like that, because that's the stuff I download the most now. So I'm trying to get like every show of those promotions. So it'd just be cool to see that stuff in like top quality. But it is what it is.
My wrestling fan heartbeat has always kind of been just like 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like New Japan, All Japan, ever since I got introduced to it.
All right.
Which is why, like, I'm not gonna lie, I pre-ordered the fucking Inoki set on Amazon before the import duty fees, because now I get to find out what those are like.
Ooh.
It's like 480, which I looked it up too. Apparently, I don't know how it works for you guys, but if it's DHL or FedEx, when they get the package in hand or it gets to like the States, you get an email saying like you need to fucking pay your duty before we
Yeah.
deliver it, and then you just, oh, that's how it works for you guys. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's the same.
Because I remember when I was a kid, when my mom got me King of Colosseum 2 and it got sent express mail, my mom fucking had to sign the paper. Or no, I had to sign it because it was in my name. And like I kept trying to like fucking like sign it. She's like, well, I got to see the paper to see how much you owe me for the delivery. And I was like, what the fuck? We already paid for the game. What the fuck are you talking about? And yeah, so I'm not looking forward to that. I think it's 10% for the stuff, from what I like. The whole situation's really complicated. If it's like a 50% fucking import tax and I gotta pay another $200 to get my Blu-ray, then somebody in Washington's getting a picture of my ass.
Holy shit, that would be awful. I have them like usually when I order from like Bai, I would get like import fees. Um, but from like when I would order from the States, I would never get them until like the last few things I ordered. Is like there was always import fees, and that pissed me off.
So according to February, it was any
February.
shipment above $800, but it's not February anymore.
It always seems so inconsistent when you try to look that shit up anyway.
It's true, yeah. Oh wait, this was last modified April 3rd, 2025. Let's go. Um, oh, it still says $800, so I might hold on. My mom might make an appearance on the podcast. Hey, mom, I don't owe import duties on the Inoki Blu-ray. They haven't got me yet. Sorry, sorry. Um, she said that's good. Also,
That's good, honey.
no, it's just that's good. Um, but yeah, I'm happy that they're at least because they did the Desperado Invitational show as a DVD, and then it was like nothing, which makes me wonder if those foreign wrestler selection sets didn't do very well because they dropped the first one April last year, and then they immediately announced the second one, which I immediately bought, and then the second one came out, and I was like, "Where's the announcement for the third one?"
Yeah.
I know y'all got that footage. Y'all can't tell me you don't. And it was like I saw that Justin Leeper goofball, like, oh, here's who I would have put on this. And it was like Kenny Omega was on there, and it's like VOP doesn't own that era of All Japan footage, dummy. Gary Albright was on there. He never worked for New Japan, really.
Nope.
And I was like,
I don't think
yeah,
he ever did,
damn.
right?
I was thinking maybe he might have when he was in Stampede, but that doesn't sound right.
Mm, I can't ever remember him appearing in New Japan.
Like maybe it's like one of the sings, but again, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Cage match. Hmm. Also, while I'm looking this up, just to make sure this isn't completely riveting audio, I want to take the time now to thank everybody that reached out on Wednesday when it looked like the weather was going to get really bad. It was like three of you, but still, um, I appreciate that. We ended up. Oh no, he did actually work New Japan, and he had one taped match where he got beat by Masa Saito in 5 minutes. So
Oh
there you
wow.
go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, one tour in fucking 1990 that amounted to three matches that Cage Match has results for. He was there for 4 days. um, and also that ECW thing, like I'm skeptical that he actually appeared in ECW because there's no footage of it.
When would that have been? Like 98,
Uh,
97?
Holiday Hell 96.
Oh, okay.
When did the Tag League end in All Japan? The Tag League ended the fucking day before. Come on now. Gary Albright wasn't there. It's an ECW arena show and we don't have footage of it. Come on now.
It's a weird like ACW All Japan connection, which you wouldn't have thought, but like with like Scorpio and Awesome and Johnny Smith for
Johnny
a very
Smith.
short period. Yeah.
Well, also, it was reported in the Observer in 97 that Heyman was trying to establish inroads with All Japan and wanted to get like fucking Shane Douglas while he was ECW champion on the Tokyo Dome show.
God, could you imagine?
I was like, imagine a world where like Balls Mahoney works a champion carnival.
Oh my God. Oh,
Imagine a world where like Rhino pops up in All Japan, like pre-split.
I forgot like RVD and Sabu as well as two other names.
Yeah. And Van Damme even works after he shows up in ECW, although not very much after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and obviously Heyman's claims, a decade and a half after the fact that he wanted to have Misawa versus Kobashi at Heatwave, which,
Good Lord.
yeah, I doubt that.
Like
I'm sure he
Misawa
would.
comes out like managed by Francine.
No, it probably would have just been those guys having a match, but like,
No, but could
if,
you imagine if they tried to ECWify it?
you know what would have been more interesting? Book 98 Kobashi to have a Triple Crown defense against like Bam Bam Bigelow.
That would have been cool. Bam Bam should have been in Old Japan for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good when he's there before.
Yeah.
That like little run in like, what is it, like 1990, where he has like the weird fucked up gear they did on the Superstars figure?
Yeah, I think so.
Like he's really good in All Japan. It's crazy. It's like Bam Bam Bigelow fucking ruled or something. He's really good in New Japan too. Like that like 80s run, and then when they put him and Vader together,
Yeah.
that's a fucking. I love that tag team. That match with the Steiners, I love it. I don't care. People are like, oh, there's no substance to it. It's just moves. Yeah, yeah, it is. It fucking rules.
They probably would have put Shane Douglas with Johnny Ace.
Ooh.
I could see that. Dynamic
Well, no,
Dudes
because
reunion.
Yeah, but you know what? That would have been the match, I think, probably.
Yeah.
And then Shane Douglas would have went over Johnny Ace at the Tokyo Dome, and Mrs. Baba would have fucking flew the coop, and we might have been spared that whole Exodus thing in 2000.
I mean, they could have had them against like Boba and the Sandman. What a team that would have been.
Dude, imagine the Sandman working the fucking Budokan in like '98.
Imagine Boba in like a Budweiser shirt and jeans.
Oh god, like in Thunder, when you change somebody's faction, they just pop up in that like faction T-shirt and jeans.
Yeah. New Jack in Old Japan. Holy shit.
Oh no, they he was not going to get to Japan no matter what.
The All Japan CD version of Natural Born Killers would have been great.
For context, for those that don't know, when All Japan would release an album, they would have a Japanese cover of wrestlers' theme songs, which it's always really fun to hear those interpretations, but also like, and I hate to use the word, but like there's some like English going on.
Yeah.
Like the Big Boss Man theme, like respect the law and order becomes something else entirely that I don't know that I can fully decipher. I think it sounds like he says roll of order, but it's raw and order. And I'm not
Yeah, there's
making fun of like people like an Asian person's interpretation of the English language. I'm just stating like you get some interesting little interpretations on stuff. But yeah, no, dude, that have you ever heard the Natural Born Killers from the Anarchy Rock CD that sounds like it's being sung by a white boy?
yeah.
Yeah, I want that, but by the guy that did the All Japan CD version of the Boss Man theme.
They did a lot of them. They did that and like Highway to the Danger Zone and like Kicks Up My
I Love It
Heart.
Loud.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all the lyrical songs ended up, I'm pretty sure that I recall at least, ended up getting. Because like the 30th anniversary CD, Dr. Death's I Love It Loud, that's a different cover than like a previous CD, I'm pretty sure even.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did all different versions.
And shout outs to the All Japan Bruiser Brody theme that's on that 30th anniversary CD that doesn't actually sound like the version that he used in All Japan, but I like it a lot more.
Immigrant Song. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like they have the cover that they dub in. I'm pretty sure it's dubbed in at least.
Hmm.
And then there's the one that's on the 30th anniversary CD that sounds way different.
I always liked the cover of from New Japan, Veda's Eyes of the World
Yeah.
on their CD. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that New Japan 30th anniversary CD is awesome. I wish I could have got that. It was in stock on CD Japan again a couple of years ago, and I almost pulled the trigger, and I didn't. I feel really bad about that
There
because
was a
that's
site
the CD
called
from. Oh, go on.
there was a site called like ROH fans or something, and they had a
ROH
whole.
World. Yeah,
Then it's no longer exists, right?
I don't think it does now.
Yeah, because I had a bookmark. It was like specifically like Japanese uh theme CDs, and there was like media file links and shit, and it was like the best because you could get like pretty much anything you could think of on there. And I went on it one day and I was like, can't be found. I was like, what? No.
Yeah, I went to find the Noah CD that had the Sugira theme Unleashed, and I noticed that site wasn't there anymore, and I was like, "Fuck me, man! Why
Yeah,
did I
that
do
was the
that?"
worst.
Yeah, I really miss just there being like a larger proliferation of like media releases from Japanese wrestling companies because the 2000s were hype. Like every Budokan show, it felt like got a DVD release.
Yeah.
New Japan would do like just weird little releases. Like we haven't had a G1 box set in years. Now, granted, I think the last G1 that they released complete in DVD form was '03. But goddamn, that's like the best G1 anyway. Like '04 is mostly complete. Like after that, it's like they're mostly complete, and then the further removed you get, I think it's like one or two matches per show complete because that was
Mm,
as the G1 went on, we started to get like the 8, 10, 12 match cards where it was all G1 matches.
hmm.
And then when they trimmed it down to where it was like 5 a show, you still didn't get them all. complete on those DVD releases, which is why, shout outs to Rudo Reels and all the other people that were putting those tournaments out in full, because it is important for the sake of like footage preservation to have that stuff out there.
Yeah, it sucks.
Um,
I never want stuff clipped or like joining progress and stuff. I hate that. So just put the full
yeah,
thing
that
on
was,
there.
which is why when the Kobashi retirement show happened and they dropped is it Grand Sword the second? No, Grand Sword's the first DVD they did. Whatever the set they dropped alongside Final Burning when it happened, that had the complete Kobashi and Kikuchi versus Can-Am Express match, and everybody lost their fucking minds for it because initially we only had that like tiny like was like 7 minutes of the match, and then we got a little bit more for the Kobashi Marathon in '07. And for years we thought that was all we were ever going to get. Then we got the full match, and you see now Dave rated it 5 stars based on that initial like 7 or 8 minutes of the match. You see the full match, and it's like by the time that clipped version that we originally had kicks in, like you've already seen like one of the best matches ever, and then you get the 8 minutes that we already had, and by the end, it's like I can maybe name 2 tag matches ever that are this good. Maybe like Tag League Final '96, June 9th, '95, and that's like the Holy Trinity,
Hmm.
and 2 of those matches involve Kobashi, but also 2 of them involve Kawada and Taue. So yeah, shout outs Taue. I started playing VPW2 Freem Edition again last night, and I'm playing as Jumbo and Tenyu. And one of the shows in the Royal Road Succession mode had the Steiners defending the tag belt against the Steiners. So it was like Scott and Rick versus Rick and Scott, and I was like, oh. Yeah, that's something. And then it was like 60-minute time limit draw, and I was like, no, what happened is everybody in that match is dead from getting dumped on their shit.
I can't play Royal Road Succession or like Road to WrestleMania or anything anymore. It drives me crazy. Like all the tag matches, and I never found them fun. I never found those modes fun. The only thing I found fun about VPW2 was like obviously the unlockables. Um, but like just playing the matches, I was just like, it doesn't interest me. I have been playing the regular VPW2 recently. What I've been trying to
I
do is
think
like, sorry, go on.
real quick, I just want to say, I think Ray from No Mercy Zone is actually doing a ROM hack that translates the bulletin board stuff with like the unlock hints,
Oh, okay.
which I didn't realize. Like, that's probably where a lot of the online conventional wisdom about like the stuff that wasn't in the guidebook, if anybody even bothered to translate that back then,
Yeah.
like a lot of those unlock conditions are pretty much from the bulletin board, except for like, the WWF and WCW stuff. That was just somebody figuring out like, oh damn, I turned the game on 20 times and now I have the Stone Cold Stunner.
Isn't that cool? That's like the most unique unlockable in like a wrestling game, probably.
Yeah, it's such a cool, like, if you're not fucking paying attention, you would just be like, damn, bro, what was that? And then you go into edit mode and there's all these moves. I think are the WWF moves, those are red, the WCW ones are yellow, right?
I haven't checked it out in a while, but that sounds about right.
I want to say that's the deal. And God, what a fucking great game VPW2 is.
Yeah, what I've been doing is been going and looking at old footage and trying to line up the attires by the release date of the game. So like I was watching what was Tiger Mask's other name? No,
Super
Tiger
Tiger.
Tiger King. I was thinking of Tiger Emperor, but that was Kotaro Suzuki. So I was watching him against like Alexander Oscar from like UFO in like 2000 or whatever. And I was like, okay, that was, or I meant to be in another match, but it was like whatever it was like, okay, that was the closest. That was the tie he won this last match before the game came out. So I'm like, I'll put that in the game, and I've been doing that for everyone. It's tedious, but it's fun. I was like just putting the tires together. That's where I get my most fun outside of matches. Is just like trying to make the tires as accurate as possible and stuff like that. And it's funny how like Tame and Honda attire still listed as Fallen Angel, like in
Mm,
the English
yeah,
translation. I know why. It's because I think it was Aki Club was like, oh yeah, that was a mistake and just never fixed it. And but I even think like back in the day, yeah, because it was actually in the guide. It's in a guide from Game FAQs, I think, where it was mentioned as Fallen Angel. Because even back in like 2000, people were like, "Oh yeah, that's Christopher Daniels retired." It never really made sense because he didn't spend much time in Japan. He'd spend more time as Curryman, so that never
yeah.
really made sense. But nobody ever aligned it with Tame and Honda, so it's kind of funny to think about.
So I was searching VPW2 on YouTube and I found that first AEW Games VPW2 stream where like it's abundantly clear that Adam Cole doesn't know who any of the fucking guys in the game are. So when he gets the controller, he fucking picks Mike Awesome because that's like probably the only guy in the game he recognizes. And he does like the fucking streamer react face when like the German suplex counter spot that's in that game.
Yeah,
Everybody knows that. It's like the defining trait of VPW2 to a lot of people is, oh, it's the one where they do the German suplex no sell. He does like the fucking cartoonish streamer face for that. And I already didn't really like Adam Cole, but that moment I was like, man, I hope you get hit by a bus.
wasn't Awesome supposed to be licensed in that game?
Yeah, and then he fucking went to ECW.
Mm,
That's why his likeness is so direct, I've always heard.
right. Yeah.
Oh, we gotta talk about like because you and like two other people sent me the Melon Bread Discovery thread about the guy who worked for THQ and was instrumental to bringing the Aki games to the US.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to talk to that guy. I don't know what insight he would actually have if we did talk to him about those games, but like it was funny because three different people sent me three different posts about it. And by the time I got to the third one, I was like, Bud, you're the third person to let me know about this. It's really cool. But like,
I
please
mean,
no more. And I kept waiting for somebody else to bring it up to me so I could be like, bro, I'm about to start knifing people through the internet.
he talked about going to Japan in one of the videos and was like, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all the Japanese wrestler heads and turn them into like Hulk Hogan." And he mentioned Randy Savage, who wasn't in W. Was he in WCW versus the World? I don't think he was. Was he?
He's not in
No.
Versus the World, but he's in World Tour.
Yeah. So he probably just mixed the two, but and then he's like, "Yeah, it was hugely successful," and we went on from there. But I mean, it'd be interesting just to know if he still ever has any contacts from that era of Aki.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be really interesting if they would let Gaeta-san out of the basement or just give him a budget again to make a fucking wrestling game.
Yeah, I mean, you messaged me earlier and we're talking about like, can Nintendo give some money to Spike Chunsoft? And I wish.
Speaking of Fire Pro, which we really weren't explicitly speaking of, but we are now, I had mentioned on the show, like, my timing feels really off whenever I play Fire Pro now. I wonder what that is. I finally cracked the fucking code. The Steam Deck's screen refresh rate is 90 hertz, so 90 frames per second, basically, right?
Yeah,
That's what fucked up my timing. I set it down to 60, and I was like, oh no, like my timing still sucks because I've been playing on 90 hertz for so fucking long. But like, I'm getting offense in now. I played Inoki versus Dick Murdoch on the way home from work yesterday, and that rat bastard Dick Murdoch stole my finisher.
I always like just sim.
I like playing Fire Pro. I like simming Fire Pro as well. Don't get me wrong. I like seeing like what the AI comes up with, but I like playing the game.
Yeah, I do
And
too. It's just like I don't know. I just find it more interesting just simming rather than me trying to put together a match.
also the irony was not lost on me to some extent that like I was on the way home from the city where I got Fire Pro for the Game Boy Advance, playing Fire Pro on a handheld.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, time's a flat circle because
Yeah,
some things really do never change.
you can
And
play
like I
all
know
of
I've
them on a
mentioned it.
handheld.
Yeah, you can literally play the whole ass goddamn series.
Yeah.
Um, it's not lost on me though. I've said this a bunch. If I didn't end up getting Fire Pro in the summer of '01 for the Game Boy for my 10th birthday, my entire trajectory as a wrestling fan is so fucking. This podcast is not happening right now if I don't get Fire Pro for the Game Boy Advance when I did.
Right.
And like, just binge watching old like Japanese stuff because for the longest time recently, I've watched some stuff, just bits and pieces. I got really excited for the Omni. stream that they did from February '84. I've had a hard time really staying engaged watching wrestling, even in a group call where we're just like laughing at the triple cage match. And like I saw the Inoki set, and I was like, it's been forever since I binge watched like some old fucking New Japan. And like the second like I loaded up, the first thing I loaded up was Inoki and Fujinami, and like I see the entrance, and it like a sleeper agent, it just fucking like set shit off in my brain. Like, no, this is wrestling. This is what I've always loved about it.
Hmm.
And like I owe all of that to Fire Pro. Like there's without that $29 purchase my mom made in 2001, there's not like literal thousands of dollars of commercially released DVDs and Blu-rays in my house. Hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of Kara Pro figures, hundreds of dollars in import wrestling games, if not a couple of thousand by the end of it. Like I was talking with my friend Sheaf about this on Friday night, but like on some level, like I have more of an affinity for the old stuff I discovered as a teenager than I do a lot of the stuff I grew up with.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, I love mid '90s WCW, and yeah, I love ECW. I also just really, really, really love old New Japan and old All Japan too. Like, I don't know. It also like watching this stuff reminds me of a time before like I was just really fed the fuck up with everything about wrestling.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
like
sure there's like a lot of people with the same experience, really.
like in the mid 2000s, I was not like completely cynical about everything. Like, yeah, the WWE products sucked. Yeah, TNA was going off a cliff, but like you still had ROH.
Hmm.
And if you were like a lot of Western pro nerds did not like fucking ROH, but it was okay because all of the Japanese promotions that regularly made tape then were really fucking good too. People shit on Muto era All Japan, and those people were fucking wrong.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I love that era of All Japan.
And I'm kind of glad to see through Gaora Sports putting up full matches that
Yeah.
like the narrative is starting to shift a little bit to like, wait, I heard all of this stuff kind of sucked, to people being like, no, there's like really, really good stuff here. Why the fuck did people think this was bad?
Because it wasn't
It,
the Baba All Japan and they couldn't get over it.
yeah, and also there are some guys that get booked that I wouldn't have booked, like Vampiro and Just
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. But like I remember Onslaught 6, that fucking asshole. Everybody was on No Mercy Zone remembers him. But him like ranting to me for, I'm not even exaggerating, like 25 minutes once about how, well, Muto sucks because he brought the 3-minute warning member in who got fired for drugs. And apparently that's not why he got fired. Apparently he told the
Hmm.
cops the fucking Samoan mafia would come after them, and that's why he got fired.
Oh, interesting.
So shout outs to Jamal. But like I remember there was a little bit because again I started watching Japanese wrestling proper in like 2004, when it really '05, when I got my own computer and I didn't have to risk my library card anymore. And there was already this like narrative of like, no man, you can't fucking, don't watch All Japan now because it sucks, it's bad, and all this stuff. And when I finally saw it, I didn't understand what the fuck everybody thought was so bad. Like, was it because guys weren't getting dropped on their head a bunch like they were in Noah? I also didn't understand why like a lot of the diehard Noah fans thought New Japan sucked, because New Japan was the first stuff I saw, and it was so radically fucking different from everything else because they were still, it's like the ass end of the dreaded MMA fighter era that everybody hates because they don't understand the whole purpose of it. And yeah, granted it was botched, but like you still had like Black New Japan with like fucking, actually might not have been Black New Japan anymore. But like you still had Shibata, and he was like loosely aligned with Chono for a bit. The stables at the time were in flux because they had a booker that was an insane person, or a matchmaker rather. But like the matches were interesting and they were different. Like that's another thing I miss about Japanese wrestling. The big companies used to be distinct from one another. Now Noah really feels like they're trying to be like New Japan and WWE, while New Japan's trying to be like fucking WWE and AEW in some regards. Like having Hiroki Goto as your champion is a pretty clear statement of, for right now at least, we're not trying to be like that.
Mhm.
And All Japan feels like the one that stayed the course and has kind of tried to stay true to what the lineage of that promotion is. But like, I miss the variety in the three products. And you also had stuff like Hustle, where if you really wanted some goofy bullshit, you could fucking you could find it there. And if you wanted the more like, cutting edge, like junior heavyweight stuff, the Toryumon system, the Dragon Gate stuff was already there. It was already in place. Those guys were already fucking fantastic. And it just feels like a lot of the companies are trying to be the same now, which I think is why I liked Glate so much when it started. Like, oh, you're gonna have a fucking UWF belt? Okay. I don't like who they have it on currently, or at least who they had it on the last time I checked, because I think Nakajima's proven himself to be a little bit of a goofball in the last few years, but you know. I love
I
Japanese
think
wrestling. I just wish we could get a new Japanese wrestling game.
I think the popularity of MMA and sort of the fall of Japanese wrestling, where you had more interpromotional matches and stuff like that, eventually what it's done is it's hurt the business as a whole because it it as you said, like it sort of made the promotions themselves less special and made everyone sort of feel the same in a way because you had everyone working everywhere at some point eventually. So you didn't
Yeah,
have like any distinctive characteristics for a certain promotion. In the 90s, you were talking about like the high flying and mixture of like you obviously had mixture of Mexican wrestling. You could watch Michinoku Pro, and obviously it's completely different than an Old Japan or a New Japan, or even though they work together sometimes, it's different than an FMW. And it doesn't feel like that's really the case anymore. Like they're still Dragon Gate, but like it just feels like everything sort of has that same feeling. Um, yeah, it's less distinctive.
I think also, and we've talked about this, I know the Yakuza were involved in really awful stuff like human trafficking, drug smuggling, that kind of stuff. The Yakuza being driven out also had a really negative effect on Japanese wrestling for a number of years, to the point that it honestly kind of feels like Bushiroad turning New Japan around the way that they did for as long as they did almost feels like an accident.
Hmm.
Um, the interpromotional era is interesting because I love a lot of that stuff. Like, but MMA's rise, and then MMA getting taken down to a Yakuza scandal doesn't fucking help things either. And also, like their economy starts to destabilize and starts, crashing kind of hard the deeper you get into the 2000s, is my understanding. There's a lot of factors for it. I just when people are like, "Oh, Big Chin Man bad. He sacrificed his guys to MMA fighters." That's a really like base level understanding of it. What people don't fucking understand is that New Japan UWFI thing broke Inoki. They did such great fucking business. Like, do you remember what the gimmick for '97 January 4th is?
Um, it was like New Japan and like Big Japan. I think
Yeah,
had some matches and Fuyuki Gun and like Hesei Ishin Gun. I think was brought in for came together for a few matches if I remember correctly.
and like they had to have the invading force. That's the whole reason UW or UFO fucking gets created. It's
Yeah,
the
that's
whole reason they do the fucking Hashimoto Ogawa angle. Now, granted, that Hashimoto Ogawa angle in '99 also serves Riki Choshu's purpose of fucking Hashimoto out of the top spot so he can put his buddy Kensuke in there.
mm,
But like, it's why the Team Inoki thing happens in fucking '01, and you get Kazuyuki Fujita coming back as like the shoot badass monster that fucks everybody up. And can I just say, I'm happy the narrative on him changed over the last few years with a lot of people too. Like, I'll never defend him not wanting to do jobs. That's fucking silly bullshit. Like, it's fucking fake. But like, when people are, oh, he was boring, he sucked. The first time I saw him was that match with Katsuyori Shibata from July of 2004. I'm pretty sure. Was the first time I saw him, and he fucking soccer kicked Shibata in the head for a shoot for the finish in a match where not only does Fujita beat the ever loving dog shit out of Shibata, Shibata dumps him on his head with a backdrop that looked nastier than half the head drops I saw in Noah that people fucking jack off over. And like you say whatever you want, Fujita clearly cared because you don't get dumped on your head by Tatsutoshi fucking Goto of all people in the '05 G1 if you don't give at least a little bit of a shit about what you're doing. And like I'm sorry, I get a little defensive about New Japan because I've seen like the Kim Justices of the world, which like her video about Brock and Inokiism. Let me make something perfectly clear. Inokiism was dead by 2005. Inoki didn't really have a whole lot of power in the company. Basically, everything he had was through Simon.
Right.
And Simon Kelly, there's an example of a guy who lucked into fucking being married into a family that granted him a lot of power in wrestling, and he managed to fuck all of that up.
Is he still with
The Inoki,
WWE?
he might be, yeah. Yeah, I think he is. Because he was the one that brokered the deal for the Nakajima Regal Jr. match.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm pretty sure he's the liaison between WWE and whoever the liaison is in Noah. I've seen people say it's Keiji Muto, which, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not going to shit talk Muto, even if he does hand Noah over to the Fed, because he's Keiji Muto. Like, you can't be mad at him. He's just going to do like the little, yeah. And it's like, look at him. He's Muto. And then you're not mad at him anymore.
He just had hip surgery and shaved his goatee
He should
for the
come
first
back and
time.
win the fucking. Oh, God, that's got to look odd.
For the first time since like 2000, I think.
Like, clean shaven bald Muto sounds incredibly cursed.
Oh, that's what he came back as. If you remember, he teamed with Takada
Oh,
against
the
Dawn.
Otani match? Oh, no, you're right. That's even before that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bombay 2000.
yeah, it was him and Takada against Dawn Fry and Ken Shamrock. And then
That's a fun little match.
and then 1-4, it's him and Otani against Liger and Nakanishi, and it goes like 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then later in '01, there's is it Muto and Hase against Akiyama and Nagata? I think those are the teams in that match. That's on
Yeah,
the
I think
Muto
so.
Blu-ray that they did. And I saw an interview with Okada a few years ago where he called that like his favorite match. And it's
Mhm.
really weird because stylistically that doesn't seem like something that Okada would be into, but like they headlined the Tokyo Dome with a tag match that had no real fucking implications other than here's four really big goddamn stars in the ring, and that is an unbelievable match.
There was a Muto Hossie, and Hossie was a surprise opponent match that same year, which goes like 40 minutes. A lot of it is just like
Oh,
mat wrestling.
dude, that match rules. In the
Yeah.
Observer, Dave's like, oh, the crowd reacted the way they thought they were supposed to because Dave didn't like the match, so he's got to figure out a reason why the crowd was into it. And it's like, buddy, they were into it because it was a good match with two of the top fucking stars in the country. Sorry that you don't like guys, grappling. Maybe if they would have dumped themselves on their heads for 40 fucking minutes, Dave would have liked it. But dude, that match is awesome. And I think it's either that show or the show like the day or two before with the Fujita Nagata heavyweight title match. And
Yeah, maybe.
because New Japan and All Japan run the Budokan like super close together. Because one of those shows, no, it is the New Japan show because the All Japan show is the match with Tenyu.
That's right, yeah.
And the Fujita Nagata match on that show is like when people talk about strong style, that's what that match is. And their rematch at the Dome, like a year and a half later, where Fujita actually does a job, might even be a better match. Like those are like classic gets used a lot in wrestling, but like those matches are classics. Like especially if you like the New Japan style, and I don't mean modern New Japan where I don't know what that style is supposed to be. I'm talking like traditional New Japan style. Those two matches are fucking excellent, but also that's during Nagata's like long title reign where he's like maybe the best wrestler in the world. So the O2
2001?
matches. No, 2002. The second one is
2002. Right, yeah, I was going to say, I would say 01 was Muto's year.
It's a very good year for Muto. Yeah.
I don't know what they put in his knees at that point, but like that dude was on something else.
He got out of bed one day and was like, "Listen, these things aren't going to be here anymore in about 6 months. Let's fucking go."
I think he really hated his run in WCW, And Kiyobaga was just like, fuck that, like, I'm coming back with a vengeance.
You think in June '01 he like woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and was like, hold on a minute. I was like maybe the best wrestler in the world doing this shit a few years ago. Let me fucking get back to that for a few months.
Yeah,
Because there's have you ever seen him and Kea versus Fujinami and Nishimura from '01, the IWGP tag title match?
yeah.
Awesome match. Have you ever seen him and Fujinami for the Triple Crown though?
I don't think I've seen that, no.
It's a fun match. Like, it's a very good match, but also like that crowd is like they're just like we're waiting for you to do the thing, Muto. And the first time he does like a Shining Wizard, they lose their fucking minds. Or it might even be just like the first time he teases it, but like from that moment, they're like, all right, this is what we fucking paid to see. And do you remember the match at the Dome in 2013 where it was like Muto? It was supposed to be like Muto and Daichi against Tenkoji. Daichi Hashimoto, that is. And Daichi got
Yeah.
hurt, so it ended up being Shinjiro Otani, who, by the way, got the biggest reaction of the entire match when he swept, I think it was Kojima's foot out from under him to do the face wash. That crowd went fucking insane. It was awesome.
Nice.
Um, that was the biggest reaction of the night, not even just that match. But like, Dave criticized Muto for just going in and playing the hits in that match, and I was like,
That's what people wanted to see.
it's Keiji Muto. The fuck do you want him to do?
Yeah.
Like what did you think he was gonna do when he showed up, sir? Like he's fucking Keiji Muto. And I liked that match a lot. I do still harbor some ill will with Muto not putting Goto over in '08 because I think he should have. But again, he does the yeah, and I'm like, it's Muto. I'm not mad at him anymore. And dude, he rules. I'm glad he got the 2 giant Blu-ray boxes because he fucking deserves it.
Yeah.
I just wish, like, since we're doing the remaster of the Inoki set, can we like, fuck, I don't know, like, just throw this out there. Can we do like the Hashimoto set?
That'd be
I don't
cool.
really feel like paying $600 for that. If y'all want to like give me that for like about like 280, I'll take it. I'm trying to think of the other sets. Weirdly, they never did a Chono set.
Yeah, that's
And
strange.
yeah, like I'd buy a Chono set. I I was shocked in 2022, like 30th anniversary for Yuji Nagata. You don't do a set for him?
Hmm.
Yeah, I just reminded myself there's an Otani DVD. I need to buy that because that's fucking Otani. Um, Also, just because I'm ranting about Japanese wrestling, have you ever noticed the thing people do where they act like the Four Pillars were bigger stars than the Three Musketeers because Dave really liked the Pillars more?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it seems like the past few years, especially, like people always go on about the 4 pillars, and they never really mention the Musketeers.
And it's really weird too because like Dave's doing that shit on Twitter now apparently where like, oh well, this promotion wasn't drawn very well, so actually it's not very good. So hey, how about All Japan in the '90s where they were really a big deal in Tokyo and not everywhere else, in New Japan who were on fire everywhere else and also in Tokyo?
Yeah.
We gonna relitigate who was better there because I'd like to be on the right side of history on that one. I mean, I am, but I wish everybody else would be too. Because like years ago, somebody told me on Twitter, like, "Oh well, Hashimoto wasn't as big of a star as Kobashi," and I was like, "The fuck, he wasn't."
Oh, what?
New Japan was on primetime television. All Japan was on at like midnight and did such bad ratings in '93, which is like everybody's favorite year of All Japan, that they cut them to a half an hour in '94. The reason people have such a like nostalgia for VOP video openings is because most of the big matches after '93 were released on commercial tape because they fucking couldn't be aired in full on television.
I think a lot of people undersell Hashimoto's popularity, and I think maybe some of it's based on appearance, honestly.
Yeah, well, also like he doesn't have the star ratings too.
Nah, that's true,
Like,
yeah.
and the crazy thing is, Dave said this like years ago. Nobody drew more people to the fucking Tokyo Dome than Hashimoto, except for maybe Kensuke Sasaki.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, Big Hash was the guy. And like the whole idea of like, well, in terms of mainstream popularity, I'm willing to bet you there's somebody's aunt in fucking Shizuoka who's never seen wrestling in her life, but she knows who Keiji Muto is,
Oh, yeah.
and Chono, and Hashimoto. probably knows who Liger is too. I'm not entirely convinced that same hypothetical woman in Shizuoka knows who the fuck Kenta Kobashi is. Not to say that Kobashi's not a big star, because obviously those guys were huge stars, especially in Tokyo. But when Western fans try to assign, like, I like this better so it was more popular, there's objective data out there to prove that no, it wasn't.
Especially someone like Muto, who, in especially more recent years, has done like a lot of commercials and stuff, and appeared on like a lot of shows. And I think there's a hell of a lot of Japanese people who would know who he is at this point. If they didn't know
And
already.
also, like, they drew like 30,000 for his retirement.
Yeah,
I don't think, like, all things being equal, Kawada wouldn't have drawn 30 to the dome for his retirement. I don't think if you put Final Burning in the dome, you might have got close, but I don't think that's drawing 30 because it's fucking 2013. If New Japan, which is hotter at the time, can barely get 30 in there, what the fuck makes you think like Noah undercard where there's one match is gonna do it? Like, I don't
yeah.
know. And Tanahashi's retiring at the Dome next year, and that's going to be real interesting because like people make a lot about like how big of a star they think Tanahashi is, and he mostly isn't. He's a big deal, but like, oh, save New Japan. Nope, that guy's in AEW now. Like, oh, they think he's an all-time legend over there. I'm pretty sure a few years ago in that poll of like the most popular wrestlers they did for TV Asahi, Okada outranked Tanahashi, and Inoki was still number one.
Yeah.
So like, are they gonna, like, for one, what's his retirement match gonna be, and two, like, what the fuck's the main event gonna be? Unless Tanahashi's retirement is the main event, but you got to have a big goddamn match for that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see exactly what they do. I know he probably wants to wrestle Shinsuke, but I was gonna say I don't see that happening, but I don't know anymore.
I New Japan is typically very loyal when they work with a company. I don't know that they would forego the AEW deal to get Nakamura back, but
It's
also like I don't know that it's complicated. I mean maybe.
it's interesting because there's two Stardom versus WWE matches at Bloodsport.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of wacky, especially because of all the alleged like Rossi Ogawa WWE fucking stuff, where like
Yeah,
Marigold was going to be like a fucking a way for him to like funnel people to WWE, and that mostly seems like it hasn't happened.
WWE doesn't even mention them. They use the clips for Julia's videos, but like anytime they actually talk about her time in Japan, they always talk about Stardom. Um, yeah, I think that's really interesting because you would think with like the Stardom talent being in the US, some of them are probably gonna show up on AEW. And yeah, but it's also, crazy that they're working WWE people at the same time. I don't know what happened there. I guess maybe it's just like because Barnett wanted it, but
Yeah,
at the
a
same
lot of people
time,
seem to not have a problem with Josh Barnett.
yeah, I I, I don't know. It's so weird though, just because New Japan and is so strongly related with AEW to see Stardom wrestlers against WWE just seems kind of. But then again, you've also got like uh Natalia against oh da, 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 da.
Yamashita.
Yeah, from Tokyo Joshi Pro. So
And
who knows?
she really seemed like she might have been AEW bound at one point, and then she had that match with Thunder Rosa, and I don't think she ever fucking showed up again.
I don't think so.
She's really good though. I like her.
Yeah.
I it's weird. Somebody was bringing this up to me that like, and we've talked about this a bunch on and off recording. It's so strange. There's like no Joshi presence really at all in the VPW series after the first game. I mean, there's only two, and there's like no Joshi presence at all in KOC. And you would think with like how strongly KOC 2 in particular ties into 80s and 90s nostalgia that you could have fucking had somebody. You could have Bull Nakano in there. You could have, Linus Asuka.
It is strange. Thankfully, I don't know if you've seen Peggy Seven's texture mods, but he added like Bull
Oh, I
Nakano
have.
and They look really cool too. But yeah, it is strange that they didn't add them as part of KOC, and they were in the Fire Pro series. I mean, there was Joshi specific Fire Pro games, so yeah, I don't know why that is.
I want to say this real quick about the KOC texture mods. I think they're dope. I love them, but I also hate playing with people's KOC edits because even the H boss saves that everybody loved like 10, 12, 13 years ago, that game doesn't work like Fire Pro. Like if you have an understanding of the Fire Pro logic, apparently that doesn't translate to KOC. Like it helps, but it doesn't fully translate because I had a save where like I had Bam Bam Bigelow and he looked fucking awesome, but he didn't it did like if you play KOC, you know what I mean when I say like the feeling of the character was like a little off.
Right.
And I want to see like the edit making capabilities like catch up to the texture modding capabilities because if we had edits that played as good as they look, oh god, that would be wonderful. That would be tremendous. Like I've seen so many of I'm not in the KOC server anymore because I said it I think previously. I'm just kind of done with people being dummies. Um, but like all of the stuff I've seen for that game, just like the custom rings too. Like goddamn, people are really doing some cool stuff with that game. I like playing that game as much as I like looking at it.
Hmm.
So like when the things don't match up, like I tried playing that Bam Bam edit against another default, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. I maybe it comes down to like the parameters being a little too high. Like I didn't look at those, but I also I'll be honest with KOC too. I don't so much have a frame of reference for like the edit point totals, and I remember somebody on like Critical Club or Fire Pro Arena posted them once, and the point totals were much higher than Fire Pro. I think like Kawada had like 300 points or some shit. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've never bothered to learn that stuff. I'm like, somebody smarter than me can figure this all out. I'll just play it.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always been like a little weird about simming stuff in KOC. Like the default edits can produce really exciting matches, but with KOC, like I got to get my hands dirty. I gotta like I'll sim some stuff in Fire Pro and have fun. I'd rather play it. KOC, I have to have a match. I have to be the one playing, or else it just kind of feels I don't know. It feels like I'm just wasting my time with that game to sim matches. If
I
that
like
makes
simming
sense.
in it. The problem is you get the glitch where they start circling each other a lot of the time. That breaks the illusion of
Mm,
a match in those games.
I like matching the AI when they do that, just seeing how long we can just circle each other. The other
Yeah,
day I was playing Fujinami versus Inoki, and we did it for like a minute and a half in game time.
I've seen like the AI do it for seemingly forever before.
Yeah, I remember there being a King of Colosseum game listed for the DS, and somebody like somebody linked me to it was from like Famitsu or some shit. And just being like, oh, it's supposed to come out in '05 and it's October. I don't think this is ever gonna happen. But
Do you
like
remember the
imagine ow, what's up?
the the GameCube listing on Game FAQs for like gladiator wrestling, and people thought that was maybe related.
Yeah, we looked into that, did we not?
I can't remember.
I feel like we looked into that. I know that like I remember a GameSpot article, which it might not have been GameSpot now that I say that out loud. But there was an article about Fire Pro coming to the GameCube and King of Colosseum getting an American release. But the thing that always struck me as odd was they didn't specify which King of Colosseum disc.
Hmm.
To me, the disc that had fucking Vader would have been the one you'd want to drop in the States because it's Vader. But the red disc also has, like Liger, who's incredibly recognizable, Great Muda, who you could put on the cover and people would be like, oh, it's Great Muda. It had Chono, who looked exactly like he did in WCW. Tenzan, who looked exactly like he did in WCW. Abdullah the Butcher, which was, we talked about it last week. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, even if you didn't see him on TV, you knew who the fuck he was because look at him. Dr. Death Steve Williams was in that game. Like, maybe the red disc might have been better, but like they didn't list it specifically, and then like BAM Entertainment I think went under and we never heard anything about it ever again.
Interesting.
And I've always wondered what exactly that GameCube Fire Pro game would have been like because they didn't have a GameCube Fire Pro game.
We need to track somebody down from Bomb Entertainment, see if there's anything to that.
We need to get the salesman Joe Marici on the fucking line. That's not just The Rock's name. That's an actual guy that worked for BAM. He also worked for Capcom. It was apparently instrumental in those weird Mega Man PC ports being a thing. So that's a guy I'd like to talk to because like, oh yeah, so you were The Rock, huh? What was
Hmm.
that like? I need to play the Fire Pro GBA games again. It's been too long. I mean, I could just download all those characters in World.
Yeah, you could.
Shout outs to Phil Parent, who still I asked him. I want to say I asked him again like last year, and he read the message on Facebook. He did not respond, so I don't think Phil actually wants to do the podcast.
Well, he's got children, so
He does, yeah. I mean,
does
I
he?
don't
I don't
blame
even know if
him.
he. I don't know if he does.
I I, I think he does.
Oh, I just,
Now I'm starting to doubt what I know.
he's a parent. That's all I know. Um, yeah, there's still people doing some cool stuff on Fire Pro. There's like Spinebuster who does like best of the '90s creations and there's still some people doing like current edits and stuff. I always check the workshop to see what's new.
I always feel a little weird about using stuff that's not like Fire Pro canon. I know that's like a stupid way to look at it too. Like I don't need anybody being like, God, that's so dumb. Why would you do that?
Hmm.
But like I like the stuff that's in line with the actual like series lineage. God, I went all the way back to the last page of my like favorite creators or whatever, and I forgot what's the status did edits for Fire Pro World.
I think there's a few people who WWE people that were involved in that, like Creation, who does like ACW
Right.
creations now for 2K. He was doing some for that. Like
I
Ban
um
Bantam, I think it's another 2K person.
I remember like downloading a couple of the edits that what's the status did, and there was like the inherent problem of like the WWE car creators coming over and not understanding what the parameters actually meant. Like Sasha Banks having a 10 entertainment, that's not like she has a 10 charisma.
Yeah.
Like like Seth Rollins having like a 10 like power or whatever the fuck. Like, buddy, you need to go read the old Bill Wood Fire Pro R PDF guide to fucking figure out what some of this shit actually means. And actually, speaking of PDFs, I probably should fucking get the stuff together to go do my city taxes tomorrow. Now that I sit here thinking about it.
Oh,
No, it's just tomorrow's the last day this week where I'm gonna have the ability to fucking conveniently get up to the city tax office. But yes, also because it's gonna be a considerable amount of money because for some reason working in another town means I owe my town like $200 every year.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's silly. Um, was there any other wrestling figure news? I feel like we got like off on a tangent. There might have been
Mm,
some shit I
I
missed.
think there was KWK. Was it Aisha Kong? Did we talk about that last week? I think we did.
We might have. Hold on, let me take a
PG-13,
gander real quick.
he also announced.
Yeah, and fucking Ken Patera, fucking who gives a shit? And Dink, which I don't know how the fuck you're able to do that.
Oh, you're not able to do that. You just hope you
And
fly under the radar.
somebody said Hasbro outfit or Mattel retro outfit, and KWK said we can make as many Dink as we want. Brother, I don't think you can.
I mean, you could make all of the guys from the Survivor Series match. Was it Survivor Series?
Yeah, my mom loves that match, by the way. They called Lawler's team the Burger King and his quarter pounders, which is fucked up because the quarter pounders at McDonald's and not Burger King. Oh God, there's a Barry Horowitz video on Instagram, and it's only 30 seconds.
No way.
Wow. He didn't talk about himself for fucking 28 minutes again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sure, it's not minutes.
Dude, that I hate to bang on that, but like
It was
that
excruciating.
fucking Barry Horowitz segment went longer than most goddamn WrestleMania main events.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, what the fuck? That shit felt like it went longer than the longest episode of our podcast.
No,
Like,
let's not go crazy.
I felt like I aged 3 years in the time it took those guys to shut the fuck up about Barry Horowitz.
Yeah, that was something else.
And like, man, it's Barry Horowitz. Why are we kissing his ass this much? I can understand if you wanted to have like John Nord on there and talk to him about shit for 28 minutes because John Nord seems like a guy who might have some fucking stories, but like, and also John Nord actually went over some people. Barry Horowitz was
Hey,
job guy. Who gives a fuck?
Barry Horowitz went over the top rope a lot of times.
He did, yeah. He just didn't go over anybody of any significance. Oh, apparently those Horowitz figures are up for pre-order until May 1st. So if you don't buy one, he may in fact return to complain about Zombie Sailor making a lawyer or a guy who was only around a year or two over Barry Horowitz because you know
Don't
Barry
forget
Horowitz is
to
gonna push units.
don't forget your epic Barry Horowitz as well.
Why does he need 5 figures?
He doesn't.
Like, with all due respect, why are we? I hate to say it this way, but you were right about the tariffs potentially like putting some of these companies out of business. If this is what we're doing, fuck, maybe some of them should fuck off. Not Epic though. I like what they make, even though I haven't bought anything in a few years. But like, why are we doing this? Like, why KWK again? Bottom of the barrel shit. This is a guy who has legitimate inroads to Japanese wrestling, and like,
Hmm.
shout outs to Bull Nakano and shout outs to Aja Kong, but like, you can't get Tenyu. Oh, you got Tenyu. I'm sorry. You can't get like Jumbo Saruta. All you gotta do is walk up to Yuji Saruta, hand him a picture of Taylor Swift, and say, "Sign your dad's likeness over to me," and he'd do it.
That's true.
Yuji Saruta loves white girls, man. He really does.
The movie? Oh, that's White Chicks. Never mind.
Yeah, it's white chicks. Yeah, no, Yuji Saruta is a very big fan of blonde white women. So he's probably really into the Tiffany Stratton Charlotte angle if he knows it's
Yeah,
happening.
probably. Somebody should ask him about it.
It was, what's crazy? He didn't realize Jumbo Saruta had like fans outside of Japan until a bunch of us were like, "Holy shit, are you Jumbo Saruta's son? Your dad's like one of my favorite wrestlers." And like, God, it's so weird. Like, I remember he had never seen the Observer obituary for his dad, and I actually sent that to him on Facebook. That
Did he
was
say anything about it?
many. Well, I was like, "Hey, they just posted the classic Observer with like your dad's obituary. Have you ever seen it?" And he said, "No." I was like, "Do you want me to send it? Because I will." And I had to send it in like fucking 7 parts because it's Dave, and
Yeah.
Facebook had a character limit on DMs even then. And I think all he said was like, "Thank you," and never said anything else about it. So I don't know if he actually ended up reading it, but like, oh man, we gotta talk about a Japanese wrestling game next week because I am gonna be around next week and probably is next week WrestleMania. No, it's not. So yeah, I'm around the next 2 weeks potentially. Actually, hold on, let me see. Let me see how this schedule's shaking out here. Yeah, I'm around at least the next two. We can talk about a Japanese wrestling game next week. Like, I don't know, maybe fucking Fire Pro something.
Um, I'm trying to think what we haven't covered yet.
We haven't covered World or Returns. I don't remember if we covered Z. I don't think we talked about the Game Boy Advance games.
No, I don't think we have.
Did we stop after G?
I'd have to go back and
To
look
the
at the
link
episode.
tree.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at this. This is what happens when people with brain damage do a podcast.
We've
Also,
also been doing this for quite a while, so
yeah, 2.5 years. It's fucking crazy. All right, let's scrolling down here. It's WrestleMania 2000. That's not Fire Pro. SmackDown games, more SmackDown games. God, we really stopped the Fire Pro thing a while ago. We stopped with Blazing Tornado.
oh, okay.
So we still got G, A, D, Final Fire Pro, Z, R,
Well,
World.
let's look at the Game Boy Advance games because they're in a way their own sort of thing. So we could look at all those.
Yeah. You know what? We also eventually we're gonna have to do pro wrestling and Hal wrestling because we tried
Yeah,
recording that like 2 or 3 fucking times and it always
they're cursed though.
are. Yeah, they are, but yeah, I feel like talking about Fire Pro A and Final Fire Pro next week because those are games I need minimal prep time for, but those are also games I have zero problem just sinking a shit ton of hours into this week
Yeah,
to remember. And also like there's technically 2 different versions of Final Fire Pro, so that's
we could
that's
look
an
at my
interesting
shitty
thing to look back
review.
on. You have a review? Is it on GameFAQs?
Yeah, you talked about it one time.
Did I?
Yeah.
I remember your review of like Pride.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we didn't, but yeah, it was bad.
Which one was it for? One or two?
I think it was. I think I reviewed Final Fire Pro.
Okay, hold on a minute. Reviews. There's Jeremy Peoples. Shout outs. Um, so you know what's really funny is your title is don't even think that this is the same game.
Hmm.
And when I saw it, I thought it was like, don't think this is the same game as regular Fire Pro 2. And I was like, wait, you know what? Oh wow, you said Pro Wrest Love in here. Goddamn pal.
Hell yeah!
Oh, this is before the English version because you say you hope everyone's psyched for it. Well, we'll take a look at this review next week.
Oh, great!
Um,
I can't wait.
I gotta. we'll take a look at. Did you review the first game too? Do we have no?
No, I didn't know.
Bill fucking Parent did though.
When did I write this review?
Uh, July 27th, 02, and then you updated it a day later.
Oh yeah, because I made a mistake. So I would have been God math horrible. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15?
This was like a week after I turned 11.
That was a long time ago.
I love Phil Parent's tagline for his review for the first game. Hunger for graphics is nothing. The thirst for gameplay is everything. Obey your thirst. Buy this. What other reviews does Phil Parent have before we get out of here? Because now I'm curious.
Actually, I think my title was a reaction to. I think. What was it a reaction to now? Don't even think this is the same. Oh, because people were comparing it to the first game, and it was like the management of ring mode was like a big deal to me. So I was like, "Hey, Fox, it's not the same thing. Stop being a dick."
This asshole, the sequel has less than the original. Yeah, the American release did because they took out management of the ring because they thought y'all were too fucking stupid to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Uh, this fucker whose username is Meep says, still nothing worth much here. And this was from my birthday in '02, so he's shitting on fucking Final Fire Pro. Hold on, I gotta see what other reviews this guy has now because I gotta I gotta see how much of a 1.5 stars for EverQuest. Damn. 2.5 stars for Road to Mania X8. Let's see what we got here. 7 for Fire Pro D. Great wrestling game? Yeah. Great wrestling game? Yeah. Greatest game ever? Hardly. Well, shut the fuck up, man. It was 2001.
I would hope that if I wrote a review now, it would be much better written than what I imagine my review was then.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see next week because there's a lot of differences between the two versions of Final Fire Pro alone, and there's obviously a lot to talk about with the first game. And I have a story I've probably told on the podcast a bunch about getting Final Fire Pro for like dirt cheap, and I want to say like 2013, maybe 2014. So it might have even been 2012. I don't know. I'd have to look back on like Facebook or whatever, but I posted a picture of it the day I got it because I was so happy I had it. But do we have anything else before we get the fuck out of here?
Nothing comes to mind. AEW's
Yeah.
tonight.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Dynasty real quick because I will be watching that show because I don't have any common sense. Though I will say there is a strong likelihood that my feed for the show starts looking like 1984 New Japan at some point tonight. What is
Mm.
the card? So on the pre-show we have Max Caster versus TBA, which I'm gonna assume is Anthony Bowens. Um, Nick Wayne and Crew, because I'm assuming it's not CRU, which is Action Andretti and Leo Rush versus AR Fox and Top Flight. Okay. Um, Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher in the Owen Hart Cup. Their previous few matches have been very good. I expect the same here. Mercedes Monet versus Julia Hart. Okay.
Random.
Oh, it's in the Owen, so whatever.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, in the Owen, we got Kevin Knight versus Will Ospreay, which, yeah, okay. Lashley and Shelton defend the AEW tag titles against Big Bill and Brian Keith, and I would be a lot more enthusiastic about the challengers if they weren't tied to Chris Jericho. Speaking of, Jericho is wrestling Bandito in a title versus mask match because in Jericho's mind, this is him redoing the Rey Mysterio feud from '09, except he's not nearly as good of a wrestler as he was then. I feel like Bandito should probably fucking win here.
Yeah.
Yuta, Pac, and Claudio defend the trios belts against Rated FTR. And independent of everything, I cannot imagine giving a fuck about this match. Really. The Death Riders are winning, and it's likely Rated FTR turn on Edge here, so whatever. I could not care less. Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole for the AEW TNT title. The match has no time limit, which feels like a threat more than anything else. And no outside interference is permitted. I can't imagine that being good, honestly. Uh, Speedball and Ricochet challenge Kenny Omega for the international title, and I would like this match better if it was Kenny versus Speedball. I saw a clip of Speedball doing like the little lightning kicks that he does, and somebody commented like, "Oh, he thinks he's Naomi," and it's like, where do you think Naomi got that spot from? She fucking publicly said it on Twitter
Well, they're gonna
like
accuse
years
Owen
ago.
Hart of stealing her attire next.
Jesus Christ. Um, I mean, Ricochet is better as the character he currently is, but I really wasn't a big fan of the Swerve Strickland match at Revolution. He feels like an obvious guy to soak up a pin here because I can't imagine you're going to beat Speedball so quickly. I mean, maybe they do. Who knows? Um, Tony Storm defends the women's belt against Megan Bain. Tony Storm's promos are very haha. Um, I also just think we're trying a little too hard with some of the stuff that's being said, but whatever. She's over. People like her. It is what it is. Um, I don't think Megan Bain wins here, but also like how much more mileage is there for Tony Storm with this gimmick and the belt?
Yeah, I would put Stokely halfway with Megan Bain.
Yeah, well, he apparently pissed somebody off because he fucking just disappeared after All Out.
But it was like a family issue.
Oh, well, I hope everything's okay then. I just assumed like when everybody else just disappears from AEW TV with no explanation that
It,
like somebody got mad at him.
it could be it. It's I'm not sure. Not I don't know for a fact what it was, but I hope he comes back soon.
Yeah, he's ridiculously entertaining. And then the main event, it's John Moxley and Swerve for the world title. They laid Swerve out on TV, so it would make very little sense for him to lose here. But also, I've been told by multiple people this shit's not ending until July, so Moxley's probably going to win. They did do something interesting with Swerve and Hangman that I saw from Dynamite, where they're yelling at each other, and Hangman's like, "You broke into my house," and Swerve's like, "You burned my house down," and Hangman's like, "You deserved it," and Swerve's like, "I know," and then Hangman's like, "Wait, what?" And Swerve's like, "I said I know." And like right after that, the Death Riders fucking kill Swerve, and Hangman doesn't. Hangman's not like, wait a minute. I don't have a problem with this guy anymore. He just kind of let it happen.
He left.
Hangman was also like, yeah, Hangman was like, okay, got what I wanted. I'm going to catering. Um, the Owens interesting because obviously Hangman and Osprey are on opposite sides of the brackets. That feels like the most obvious final you could have if you wanted a big match. And it feels like either of those guys winning is a perfectly suitable reaction. It also feels like either of those guys being the one to cut the head off the snake and take the belt from Moxley, like either is a good outcome. Hangman Page, for the longest time, has just been a guy who exists and doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And like somehow they've rediscovered some fucking juice for Hangman. I think it was him almost killing MJF. I was like, never mind, Hangman rules. Uh,
It was the
I don't
haircut
know.
that did it for you.
No. Um, I don't know. It feels like Okada Kenny is still like the direction for All In. By the way, why the fuck isn't Okada on this show?
Um, I don't know.
Why are we not doing more to build him up? Like, how do I put this? If you're doing the title unification match at All In, shouldn't the idea be these two are on every show together?
Yeah, you'd
And
think so.
like, shouldn't we be building them? Because that's a big match. And you can show the clips of them from New Japan with like to provide the context, but that really feels like you need to be doing more to make Okada a big deal. He has been I hate to say he's been a background character for a lot of his run. And I think if they did a little bit more to establish him, like let's just be like perfectly clear about what it is. He's the best wrestler of the last like decade, maybe 2 decades. Like he's the guy. He is the pro wrestling equivalent of Shohei Ohtani. And he's a funny haha guy that's got to low blow everybody. And I don't understand it. But you can turn it all around. You can have him start rainmaking, hitting people with the gimmick every week on TV. I mean, he's got limited dates, presumably, so maybe not every week, but fucking more regularly than he has been.
Yeah, I
Just,
don't have an answer.
just something, man. And like, I fear that like this whole Death Riders thing continuing feels like in the background, the Young Bucks and Jungle Boy are just threatening to come back and be the ones that win the trios belts.
Yeah.
It was told to me that like Tony thinks the Bucks are going to be huge baby faces when they come back. Like if they come back with like the old music and the old ring gear, and you know what? They probably will be for like about a pay-per-view cycle before people are just like, no, we're sick of them again.
Mm.
Like out of everybody in the elite, they were the ones that I figured. I don't use the word exposed, but I will. They felt like the ones that were going to be exposed the worst by being on national television because you can't be them on TV regularly. Like the gimmick is going to grate on people, even if they're baby faces. Like that style of wrestling and how obnoxiously like pretentious and performative it all feels. That's going to grate on people, even if you are the good guys. And we saw it early on, like before the pandemic, people were starting to sour on them. And I'm not even talking the AEW diehards. I'm talking like their crowd reactions were not great, like the entire time anyway. So like, yeah, you get a little babyface run out of them, but like, and it feels like Jack Perry's got the fucking scarlet letter on him now, and not to mention he's really just not very good. But like, he might be a babyface if you bring him back with the Baltimore theme. How long until people start doing the Crimea River thing again? And then if they do that, does he play into it? If he plays into it, does it piss off everybody else buying tickets on all these upcoming shows? You know what
I
I
don't
mean?
know.
Like,
I don't see him going back to the Baltimore theme. That just seems like too much of a step back, but we'll
it
see
feels
what
like
happens.
that's the only way to fucking bring him back because you can't bring him back as the fucking scapegoat again. So like, what do you do with him? He can't just be babyface Jack Perry because like, what the fuck does that even entail at this point? It feels like you might be able to get a little bit out of him if he comes back and he's fucking Jack Perry with the like the old Jungle Boy music. But even then, man, like Jesus Christ, there are people that have been around from the start that like you might actually be able to just let them go and like let them do some shit, figure some shit out, and bring them back. Like some people have been under contract to that company for 6 years, and I struggle to think what the hell you could get out of them now. Like people really got mad at like when they ghosted Joey Janela and just let his contract expire. Imagine if Joey Janela had been around the last 3 years. What the fuck would he be doing?
Probably work in GCW if they let him, and that's it.
Yeah, like, and that's not an indictment of Joey Janela's talent or whatever. I'm not a particularly big fan, but like, or a fan at all, really. But like, he was one of those guys when they announced the roster where I was like, I don't know how long he's going to be around. Like that was the big thing when they announced the roster initially. I don't know if you remember this, but there was like people were picking that roster apart with like so many of these people are going to get exposed by being on national TV
Mm.
because like they're a big deal to the independent crowd, but like the independent crowd aren't the only people that are turning on TNT to watch this show. And I mean, you look at some of the women that were around at the start. Like if Britt Baker ever comes back, what the fuck's she gonna do?
I I I have no idea. I mean,
You know
there's
who
a
I
lot of
will say they should keep under contract just as a fuck you to everything going on right now is Nyla Rose.
yeah,
Even if like some bullshit happens where you can't actually book Nyla on shows, Nyla should fucking have a contract.
yeah. I mean, she's pretty funny too, so
Yeah,
there's stuff you could do with her.
I enjoy Nyla Rose. And
Yeah.
like, and also it'll just piss off bigots. So spend the
Mm.
money to piss people off. That's what I always say. But I saw people saying like, well, if they're going to start letting people's contracts renew, like they're probably going to let Nyla go because of all the controversy. I would go the other way with it. Keep her under contract. Fuck it. And also, like, she still does have cachet. Like the 2 times a year they put her on TV to fucking put somebody over. Like it's clear
Yeah.
that that name still matters to the AEW audience. So like, and I don't usually complain about seeing her show up, other than it's obvious she's here to do a fucking job.
Mm.
It's the Yuka Sakazaki principle. Like, cool, you're here. You're gonna win one match and then lose, and I'm not gonna see you for a year.
Pretty much.
But like, I don't know. I'm buying my plane ticket to Dallas in 2 weeks. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more optimistic about some aspects of AEW. I'm never gonna be optimistic about this Death Riders thing. If it ends tonight, I would be fucking ecstatic. But who knows? I gotta see if my friend's even gonna be around for the show. Because if I have to watch that shit by myself, I will be watching 80s New Japan or All Japan. Or I'm gonna fucking watch Zandig versus Lobo from Cage of Death 02. One of those things. But that'll do us for this week. Next week, we're back to talking about wrestling games. So those of you who don't want to hear us ramble about other bullshit for a couple of hours, you get to hear us ramble about Fire Pro for. I got a lot to say about those games, so probably going to be longer than the usual. Like we talk about something for 30 minutes, maybe,
Yeah.
and then we talk about bullshit for the rest of the podcast. There's I had a lot of thoughts and stories and just general feelings about those games. They are a very big part of my wrestling fandom, and I don't know like how important they are for you because you were already playing import games by the time they came out, but
Mm.
they're very important to me. So we'll dissect management of the ring mode. We'll talk about the differences between the US and Japanese versions of Fire Pro 2. We'll talk about the one significant difference between the Japanese and American versions of Fire Pro A. We'll talk about rosters. I'll pull those damn rosters up and read the whole damn thing like I used to. I don't give a fuck. There's like 200 characters in those games. I don't give a shit. Um, it would be very helpful though if somebody had a roster for Fire Pro 2 and Final Fire Pro and just was like, here are the common characters and here are the version specific ones. Because that's going to be actually that roster list on Fire Pro Arena might Critical Club. Goddamn,
Yeah.
that was a Freudian slip. Not affiliated with us at all, by the way.
Oh.
But they might have the version specific characters on there. But yeah, three technically very interesting games, and we'll cover them, and we'll see all you lovely bastards next week. Until then, stay safe, take care, don't be an asshole, and fuck neo-Nazis.
One.